All right, I think I got stuff working correctly. I'm not sure yet. Let me bounce around the screens. All right, so I'm Dan. I'm a happy fish guy. Let me make sure my sound is going awesome this morning. Man, I get so confused bouncing screens. Not sure yet. Let me bounce around the screens. All right, so I'm Dan. I'm a happy fish guy. Let me make sure my sound is going awesome this morning. Man, I get so confused bouncing screens. All right, so I dropped a link in the Hangout. So if you guys want, you can pop up into the Hangouts. And yeah, anyway, I'm Dan. I'm the happy fish guy. Happy Monday morning. Uh, yeah, I got a little bit of a cold right now, so kind of sniffly. I think my eyes are a little puffy and red, but oh well. I hung out with my friend's kid because they were sick, and I was like, really? Let me come like give my immune system a workout because I haven't done it in a while. And if I get sick, it means my immune system's weak, and I probably need to get the sickness. And my friend was like, "You're crazy, Dan." And I'm like, "No, I need to like, otherwise I'll have to go pay for the stupid flu shot, which you just get sick anyway." And they were like, so anyway, yeah, I ended up having to go. They're like, "Oh, you're here, you can babysit." But yeah, they went to the store, got me some goodies, and yeah, I guess the kid's better. So I think this thing lasts like 3 or 4 days or whatever. But bottom line, I've just been eating as much junk as I can and flushing my system out. I probably should go get some more water. I drink the alkali water, the 9.0 pH. Makes it really difficult because it changes your body pH just a hair, and it really throws the bugs in your body off. All right, well, I don't know where half of you guys are. I should have like 6 people in here already, but oh well. It's Monday, so who knows what people are doing. I might have to start playing Tim's music in the background. Uh, Let me see here. Dun dun dun. Actually, I don't know if I can do that. Who knows? Anyway, I thought Biggie's was gonna come over here, and I thought Jean Michael was gonna cruise over here, and I thought a few other. See, it would have been so much easier if I could drop the link, but apparently it said that I would have had to end the Hangouts call that I was in with Chris so that I could start my own Hangouts call. I had to start my own Hangouts call so that YouTube could stream my Hangouts call to YouTube. And then once my YouTube is going, then you guys can go to my page and see that I'm streaming a Google Hangouts with a 30-second delay on YouTube. And anyway, you guys back click, and all of a sudden, you guys jump ahead 30 seconds and are in a Hangouts. I'm not sure exactly how YouTube works, and maybe if I figured it out, it'd be more effective at using it. But Tanya Nine says, "Want to see your fish?" That sounds like a super awesome plan because I kind of look like I haven't slept in a while, which is probably true. Anyway, let me spin my camera around. Oh, V Stag made it over here. Cool. Let me flip over to the Hangout screen so I see what's going down. All right, so let's see if I zoom out real quick. There's my angelfish that chill on my desk. There's my little planted tank. I just reset that the other day. Come on, camera. There we go. Yeah. So there's an Amano shrimp in there. He's just been loving it. That's crystal clear water. You got the 3 guppies chilling at the top. I'm probably going to pull them out and turn that into a breeding tank for a second line of firetail guppies. Anyway, I got some pearl scale chilling with some veil tails. See that nice gentle pearl scale on there? Real gentle. Um, fly up my tank. It's my firetail grow out tank. So the fish in this tank are bred with a paddle tail for speed and a campfire type tail, which is orange and yellow. And then I'm really partial to the black. tail that really sets off that orange and yellow. And then a couple of the males in here have some blue in there. So it's like a blue, yellow, and red flame. So campfire. And then we swing over here and it's my rainbow tail tank. And the rainbow tail, I like to have the red and the yellow and a little bit of green. And yeah. And so there's a little bit of, yeah, there's some kind of, just a nice little looking like a rainbow right there in that tail. My camera doesn't really do it, good justice. But I'm working on the rainbow line. It's not quite as good looking as the fire tail line, which is probably why I'm going to have two lines of the fire tail. Anyway, that's my angelfish tank. These are double veil tails that I raised up from eggs. So they're just doing great. I just increased the sponge back there to the 2-inch by 3-inch by 5-inch. Super bacteria condominium going on back there. And I run custom filters. So typically sponge, bio balls. Yeah. I swing around to one other tank. This is my grow out tank. I just throw a lot of fish in this tank and they just kind of do their thing, which is nice. And so I got some real beautiful angelfish chilling with some really incredible guppies that I haven't figured out what to do with. But I'm going to cull some, maybe some 2 or 3 top choice males and put them in. Maybe grab like 5 top choice females from a bunch of different tanks and then throw them in that breeder tank and see what happens. So let me swing around real quick. This is like the favorite view of you people. And then I'm going to swing under my desk. Because, whose room would be complete if you didn't have angelfish that live under the desk? These are my friend's fish, and I told them I didn't have space for any more fish, and so they got stuck under my desk. And they weren't supposed to be there that long, but, oh well. Fish crazy when you got fish that live under your desk. So, yeah, I'm me, happy fish guy, or it should just be called me fish crazy. So, oh, yeah, darn it. I almost forgot. Behind me, trying to zoom in here. That's my mating red shoulder angelfish. And that's another kind of a marbled angelfish that I got. And I've been raising those guys up. And then, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a mess to look at this other tank I have. But yeah, definitely good times. My floating plants are for the babies if they're up at the surface, like this little guy right here. As you can see, I got a lot of babies and they like to hide out in that stuff. So I got floating plants. So hopefully that explains a little bit of the fish fun or the fantastic fun I get to have. And let me flip around screens and see who's causing a ruckus in chat. So good times, V-Stag. Nice to see you're here. Always nice to see blue people in my stream. Cop's got the medic hat on. Really amazing fish, says Tanya. Thank you. You're really cool. I strive to have such aquariums in the future. It's always fun. I've only, I don't know, like probably 10 months into having fish. And, yeah, it's like fish had babies and I just had to, break a new tank out. And then a couple weeks later, more fish and another tank. So I kind of stopped breaking tanks or making tanks. But yeah, I'm like 12 tanks deep in 6 months. So definitely an incredibly fun hobby to get into. Are you scared of all that on your desk? The PC setup would ever be in danger or getting drenched? Well, luckily, my screen right there, it's gotten wet twice and shut itself off. But I don't want to say it's waterproof. But no, luckily for me, I found a desk that could probably support a whole lot of weight, and yeah, I don't know. That's probably support about 500 pounds. Although it's probably about 500 pounds up here now. Wow. Hey, good times. We got the aquarium cowboy in here now. Sweet, sweet. Man, the party is lining up. Definitely fun. We got aquarium cop. I think he's being quiet. I'm going to drop the Hangouts link if any of you want to camera up and come say hi and show your fish or just chit chat. I just want to let you guys know if you have any uh, fish questions or questions about lighting or questions about plants. One of those I'm really good at, and the other two not so good. But go ahead and ask your questions anyway. And if I don't know the answer, then I don't know. With the way I use Google, in a couple minutes, we'll both know the answer. So people go, Dan, you can't be that savvy with Google, and I go, that savvy with Google. It's fun. I used to go to school for computers, and yeah, I don't think I learned as much from the teacher as I learned from the kids around me. Anyway, I'm gonna go get Aquarium Cop says would love to, but I'm on my computer. There you go. All right, I'm gonna go get something to drink. I'll be back in a flash. So hopefully my fish will keep you entertained. I was trying to figure out how to play music in the background. Yeah, I haven't quite figured out how to do that yet. Yeah, anyway, hold on. I might be able to do some awesomeness. So if you're just joining me, I just want to say happy Monday to everybody. And hopefully you make this Monday awesome because Mondays, it's kind of hard to come off such a fantastic weekend. And then, I don't know, I don't want to say get slammed by work, but you go to work and you're kind of, Mondays. I never really meet anybody that hits Mondays, full bore. I try to, but yeah, I'm not going to today. My nose is full of junk and my brain is like mush. So I don't know. I might have to stay home today, but oh well. Let's see if I can get stuff going on.
I can read the chat while you're gone, Dan.
Oh, that's awesome, awesome. No, I was going to try to find how to put Timothy Michael's music up. That's what I'm trying to do right now. All right, here we go.
Cool.
So, yeah, you'll have to let me know if this is going to work. All right, let me try this real quick. Yeah, see, I can't do music at the same time. Yeah, see, I can't do music at the same time. Dang it, anyway. All right. So, yeah, I guess Graham Cobb, you'll be stuck doing you'll be stuck reading chat real quick. All right, I'll be back in a flash, everybody. Morning.
What's up, Aquarium Cowboy? What's up, Teresa Cookie? Boo! What's up, Victor V Stag? Teresa says, hey guys. The Aquarium Cop, the Aquarium Cop, that's me. The Aquarium Cowboy says, all right, Cop. Hey, by the way, Cowboy, yesterday we waited and waited and waited for your live stream at 12:30, and like an hour went by, and I just threw music on in the live stream. But then I found out later on, like hours later, I saw an upload from you that it was only available to your Patreon folks, and ferries, etc. But we didn't abandon you. We were there. You just never showed up because it was not available in the format, I guess you would say. It was only available to Patreon. But I did catch your uploaded video later where you explained that. So cool. No, Teresa, you have the accent. He says, good, Grand Cop. How are you? I'm very good, Victor. I'm so jealous. I want to go to Dion's house. That must have been cool. I know it was months ago, but whatever.
See, that's how to eat like a boss. Big old thing of grapes.
Well, I guess we're on a different time zone, Ram Cowboy, because we were all waiting for you to do your 12:30 stream, and no one got notifications. I even went on your channel and looked, 000. And later on, when I went to work, like, whatever. It doesn't matter. We were there, and it didn't happen. Whether it's YouTube, et cetera, or Patreon, but we tried. Talking about yesterday. I did not get an invite, whatever you call it. I promise you. And your bell is wrong. It must be like a little glitch between Patreon and YouTube and Google Hangouts, and I know none of that. None of that stuff. No, we were waiting. It didn't happen. And you explained it later. So everything's cool. Nothing weird. The only thing weird is the internet, meaning the internet itself. Like, I want a live stream. I want to, and I can't. I can't drop links, and Dan could do that. Everybody could do that. It's so easy, but I can't do it.
Here's a quick note for Aquarium Cowboy.
All about the app you have on your tablet or whatever. Like, if I had a computer, I guess it'd probably be easy, but I don't have one, and I don't want one. Yeah, maybe different time zones. Just keeping.
Hey, what I think for Aquarium Cowboy, I wanted to make just a little note. I noticed it on your video. You made an announcement in Google that you were streaming, but that stream never happened. And then I noticed that an hour later, you posted a video about that stream that happened.
Yep.
And that's
what I'm talking about.
Figure out how you did that, because I thought, if this stream didn't happen, how has he been streaming this other stream for an hour and 15 minutes? I think it was.
Yep.
And I was like, well, he was streaming, but it either didn't go public, or he didn't stream it to YouTube, or he didn't stream it live. he shot it as a video and then uploaded it.
Yeah, that's how I got it. Way after the fact. Correct.
As an upload, not as a live.
Yeah, an upload. It was a video. That was it.
Yeah. So, so if you had 4 people, I wonder if you somehow sent them a private link or a Hangouts link or a Partheon link. So anyway, I've done the same thing, and I've been like, how come this didn't do this, and how come, oh, it actually did this? Like today, I couldn't open up 2 Hangouts. Yesterday, I was in a Hangout, and well, maybe that's right. Maybe I wasn't in a Hangout. I think yesterday, no, yesterday I wasn't in a Hangout, so I could create my own Hangout. Off of that Hangout, create a YouTube video or our YouTube live stream. You guys all found the YouTube live stream and then jumped back in time 30 seconds and joined me on the Hangouts. Today, I was in a Hangouts. I went to my YouTube channel and tried to launch a Hangouts, and it said that I had to end the Hangouts. The first Hangouts I was on. When I ended the first Hangout, then I couldn't drop a link in chat. So YouTube has its awesome confusingness sometimes. Anyway, I hope you guys aren't just hearing me munch grapes. That's probably rude. Oh, wow. Just think I'm sick sometimes. I'm not perfect yet and not well-mannered, I guess. You guys are probably like, well, you two don't have to sound like a grizzly bear eating grapes. Jeez. I have to go beat up my dog real quick, and then I'll be back in like a minute.
Okay, I said it's 1 p.m. Monday. The Aquarium Cowboy says it's 10 a.m. over here, Teresa. What's that, Texas? Teresa Cookie D-Batch, where are you from? At least share, Dan. Okay, I guess Dan dropped the link. Aquarium Cowboy says, grapes sound good. Yum. Ha ha ha. D-Batch says, I'm from Asia.
My dog is all excited because there's a kitty cat in the yard. And he got to chase the cat out of the yard. So now he's like, yeah, he wants to
Teresa
continue.
said, oh, okay. Hey, Victor. I'm in Brooklyn, New York right now at my mom's house.
All right, I'm finally like halfway back to awesomeness because I just ate like a pound of grapes. Now I'm going to pick my teeth and get all the grape seeds out.
Hey, how's it going there tonight on YouTube, Link?
You guys, I'm thinking about putting this video up of this crackhead that was on one of the properties. And, my bosses are just like, Dan, just go be a a-hole and just get rid of him. And so, yeah, I just, pretty much went out and tried to be like the biggest jerk I could to this, because you can't be nice to homeless people when they're trespassing on some of the properties that I maintain. And so I kind of scratched my head and I go, how do I really just get this guy to get the point that he's not wanted? And I just thought to myself, I'll probably just have to go annoy this guy for like 5 minutes. And yeah, so I was watching the video and I was like, man, I just get moody with people sometimes, and I was laughing. So, and I thought, Dan, people pay you to be this way. So I guess it's an excuse for my bad behavior. But like, I was watching the video of myself and I was laughing. And I was just like, man. So I was thinking about putting the video up for you guys' laughter and enjoyment. It's this homeless guy threatening me and all this. It's 5 minutes of pretty much pure stupidity as I tell this guy about 100 times that he's trespassing. Like, you're trespassing. Yeah. Only way to describe it is probably I just have me post this lame, crazy video of the fun I get to have at work. So, anyway, if you're just joining us, I'm Dan, the Happy Fish Guy. We got V-Stag in the house, got the Aquarium Cowboy, got Cookie. If she ever gets up on camera, she's got one heck of a fun accent. Got the Bachelor's Planet Aquariums cruising in from Asia. Super cool. So I guess we're reaching around the world with this crazy little stream. Sorry about that. Grapes are making me burp because I swallowed them so fast. Anyway, bottom line, I just thought I'd have this stream to tell everybody happy Monday. Sometimes it's tough to have a good Monday, but I'm gonna try to keep my smile bright. My sleep schedule's all screwed up because I've been working nights lately and going to sleep at like, I don't know, 10 or noon. But it's hard. Like, if I go to work at midnight, I'm like, going to bed at noon is like perfect. Wake up at like 8 at night. There's like no traffic. Go pick on my friends at like 10 o'clock and then go to work about midnight. So, but yeah, I was at work the other night and I swung by the coffee shop feeling a little ill. And yeah, I got to pick on my friends. It's like I didn't make it to work until like 2 in the morning. I should have been there at like midnight, but my boss, they're like, as long as it's done by like 6 in the morning, we don't really care what you do. They basically give me like a 3-day window once a week to get my stuff done. So pretty fun times. Yeah, Aquarium Cop, you know how it is. You work at midnight too. So yeah, I kind of wonder what time you go to sleep. But yeah, bottom line, I've been having, I think, too much fun at life lately. Trying to tell people how to live. Somebody mentioned earlier about being a teacher. And man, I got, iGook and other stuff. But anyway, I think that probably that's an important part of my life is to be a teacher, to constantly be teaching people around me and to be being taught by people around me. So, yeah, I mean, if you're not around people that inspire you, then you live an uninspired life. And I live, or I try to have people in my life that inspire me or that are smarter than me or that, push me to be a little better than I am. And I guess I try to return the same to the people around me with that encouragement or that extra, dude, just get up and just go. And people kind of laugh. But no, I think that it's important to have people in your life. Like I look at people in my life and I pretty much have a really simple statement with people. Hey, I'm going to be in your life to have impact in your life. And you're going to be in my life to have impact in my life. People go, that's kind of crazy. And I go, well, what do I want? A whole bunch of friends that just don't inspire me and don't mean anything to me. And I just really don't care about. I just really don't share an interest in. And People go, how does that look like, at the fish fam? So you guys are a part of my life. I get to see what you guys are doing. You guys inspire me to continually change my fish tank, upgrade a filter, do a water change. Dan, get your stuff top notch. Then I see what you guys are doing out there in the fish land, and I'm like, man, I got to step it up a notch. I've been inspired. Look at the guy, what fish he's mixing. Look how nice that Java moss looks. Look, he's using an aquarium green. You know, the flip side of that is we'd get together and I'd be like, not inspired by your tank. I wouldn't be inspired by the beauty that I see in your guys' lives. I would be uninspired to make changes in my fish room, and I'd have, well, a dull and boring fish room. You guys would have dull and boring fish rooms, and we'd live dull and boring lives and really have no impact. I don't see it that way. So I see it the flip side, and I try to live that way, where the people in my life are in my life because they're going to have an impact in my life. My life is going to be impacted by them and become more awesome. And I like to return the favor to my friends, and I go, hey, like, let me impact your life and make you more awesome. Bottom line, a lot of people don't like it when, I stick my finger or my nose into their business or into their lives and say, you know what, this got to change. This ain't right. I don't know. Somebody told me the other day that I'm like a flashlight. I like to illuminate the shadows in people's lives and bring light into their darkness. And it's not always nice. And I'm like, if they got darkness and I got light, like, I'm sorry. And, and then I got people that do the same. Like, hey, Dan, you should probably change this about this or do that. And it's not just in the fish, it's in the person that I am. Like, people are constantly teasing me about quitting smoking or exercising more or, none of my friends will let me eat donuts, and they're always like, how's your sugar level today? And then if I get moody, man, my friends they're like, did you eat right today? Do you need it? No, not a Snickers bar. You need a salad. You didn't eat your salad today. And I don't know if you guys ever seen that Snickers commercial where there's like, the whole football team, and there's that like 80-year-old lady, and she's like, yeah, going crazy, and they're like, did you eat? And then all of a sudden this like 80-year-old lady is eating a Snickers bar, and she all of a sudden is like a 350-pound linebacker, and she's like, I totally needed that, thank you. Yeah. So my friends are like, yeah, if you don't eat right, Dan, you get like, I don't know, I guess I just get more intense in people's lives. But why I share that with you guys is then it opens the door that you get to realize the kind of people that you want to have in your life, and you get to make a decision. Do you want to have dull and boring people in your life and live a dull and boring life? So people go, Dan, you can't be that extreme. And I go, well, I don't just go fly kites. I fly kites with, Washington, some of the kite flyers in the state of Washington. They've been judged across the United States, and I don't know, the Washington Kite Club that I fly in is in the top 5 in the United States. And one of our guys is like the top. Him and his Canadian buddy as duels, or like, they fly 2 kites at a time or whatever. I forget what it is. But anyway, I guess like they're like the best on the West Coast, and wherever they go together, they just win tournaments and pull down. So people are like, you go fly kites. I'm like, I don't got to go fly kites with regular people. I fly kites with the best kite flyers in America. And then I get inspired to fly my kites in crazy ways that regular people never would have thought possible. But I'm like, I have to fly with like the best in the United States. And so it makes me step it up a notch. And people go, Dan, it's really kind of crazy when you go fly your kites, because you go put like 4 kites in the grass, and then you go fly a stunt kite, with a huge tail, and the sky gets decorated. And I go, why not put color in the sky and make it beautiful? I don't know if you guys got to see, well, probably not my sunrise, but it was nice and red and pink and all them pretty colors. Yeah, we got some fires going on, and they're putting some smoke in the sky, and that brings out the extra reds and the pinks. But yeah, blue skies, that's nice, but I like a little cloud and a little color. So anyway, I'm screwing around on a few different screens here, so I'm not like totally like high camera. But let me go bounce in the chat and see what craziness I'm missing. Half of you probably went to sleep as my ramblings about Monday and being awesome. But I don't know. I get to make a choice today. You guys get to make a choice today. Not only with the way you deal with people in the fish community, but deal with people, in your life. And I guess I get lucky because I take a different stance. And yeah, I think I pretty much tell people, hey, if I'm not going to have a big impact on your life and you're not going to have a big impact on my life, why don't we just turn around now and walk away from each other? Because I want to find better people to be around. I want to be around people that inspire me. So I don't know. Some people are like, Dan, I just want to live a dull and boring life. I'm like, okay, please don't live within 100 yards of me because we're not going to get along. Yeah. So I do. I get to make choices for the people that are in my life. They got those people in my life that are like negative, or my friends have those friends in their lives that are negative. And, I'll meet them at a coffee shop or a party or some craziness. And they're like, Dan, what do you think about this guy? And I go, I met that guy and I talked to him for like 2 minutes and I wasn't interested in getting to know him anymore. So that's all I can tell you about that guy. I don't have to tell them that I think they're a total blank, 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 You can figure that out sometimes in 2 minutes or sometimes in 5 seconds. But yeah, and then I don't got to sit there and trash talk people because I'm just like, I didn't get the time to know how, let's just say dumb some of these people. I shouldn't say dumb, but just, yeah, the decisions they make in life or the way they live their life. Like, hey, let's go live at a bar for like 10 hours, and work 8 hours a day and sleep for like, yeah. So I just got a message on my phone. I have to read this real quick. All right, cool. Anyway, I don't know, just some thoughts for some people. That way you get to make a decision as to if you're going to live a life that's, I don't know, I don't want to say extreme. I don't look at my life. Well, I can't say I don't look at my life as extreme because I look at a lot of the things that I do. I like to live extreme. I like to do things that most regular people don't do. And I guess that's where I find my smile and my joy. And I guess that's why people get attracted to the way that I live. Are you there again? All right, let me pop out chat and figure out who went to sleep after listening to my crazy rant. So let's see. I hate Terrible Monday. Oh man, hold on. I was doing one thing. Now I got to change screens again. All right. I'm trying to read chat. See, Aquarium Cop. Are you in New York? Thanks, freaks come out at night. Good one, Cop. Says, my PA is almost done working nights. My pa. All right. Are you a spy? I'm trying to figure out who he's asking. The answer would be yes. I'm not watching you now, but I was watching you an hour ago. We can't get into that. It's top secret FBI fish stuff. V-Stag says nah, LOL. Aquarium Cop says LOL. White says he. Cop says hi, Brady. Hello, AC. Hello. Man, sharing the love. That is awesome. People are subscribing to people. That's cool. Well, let's see. No problem, Cowboy. LL, do you have a first name? I feel weird calling you Cowboy. Haha. Well, I just call you Cookie all the time. I mean, oh well. Well, I do, but I prefer not to say I'm a kid, but you can call me Cow if you want. That works. No, but I took so long to get my wife. Oh, I thought you said your wife to be normal. Aquarium Copy says no, but it took so long to get my wife to be normal. I see it says Wi-Fi. I want an XLL for years, but can't get one. Aquarium Cowboy, blank, 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 LOL. Is there anyone else on the Hangouts? Just two people. Cookie, you get on and I'll get on. Let me see. No, there's still only like two people up there. All right. Anyway, Born, I give you one of my bigger babies if I could. That is super awesome. I have enough kids and love them. I'll take an axolotl though. Carry 'em cowboy. Someday I hope to have like 1,000 tanks and an exotic pet like alligators. Though it seems crazy. I want to do it someday. Of course, I'm a little young. All right. Aquarium Cop says, "LOL, cowboy. I just want to have a zoo in my whole house. I already have a mini one. Human Zune." Aquarium Cop says, "Wilfie." So it took a while for your Wilfie to be normal. All right. I missed that. Okay, so let me see if I should drop the Hangouts link again. Yeah, so as you guys can tell, fish is a pretty big part of my life, but I have like some other crazy things that are pretty big part of my life. I think the big thing is helping people. Um, yeah, just about any way that I can. And I talk to people about how to be, I don't know, a little more effective at helping people or doing the things I do. Because I do, I think it's important to be, I don't know, a teacher, but it's also important to be around teachers. And it's important to have, yeah. I like to think my life is about being taught as much as I'm teaching. So, and I like to, I don't know, lead by example. Anyway, if you guys are joining us, my stream is about how to have, I don't know, a happy Monday. I have a happy time when I'm hanging out with Cop, causing a ruckus, picking on the fish fam. Teresa says, "LOL, no, I have 1 dog, 3 cats, and axolotl fish snails. I did have a couple of native insects as pets, but they died, and I'm not sure why." I'm trying to figure out how to explain the craziness of the pets that I had when I was growing up. My mom was a teacher, and she would go to a couple different pet stores, and they would like loan my mom pets, and so she'd bring them to the house, and we'd have them for about a week. And yeah, whenever school closed down for like a week, the little breaks or whatever, we'd end up with like, I don't know, a bunch of animals in the garage. We used to have a 6-foot iguana. We used to have like 6 gopher snakes. Yeah, it was crazy. All the weird animals running ruckus in my house. I had a rattlesnake for a while, and my mom figured out what I had, and she made me let it go. I was like, "Mom, I won't get bit," and she's like, "Yeah." I was like 14, like, dang it anyway, Mom. Take all the fun out of life. Then I got mad because one of the guys from the high school, like not the high school I went to, but this other high school, he moved from Arizona and came to high school, and then he had rattlesnakes in his car, and that was his car alarm, and he had little signs on his window that says "Car protected by rattlesnake. Break in at your own risk." And you would go out to his car in the parking lot, and his car would be like 120 degrees inside, and there'd be like a rattlesnake just coiled up on the seat. And yeah, I went to his campus one time, and I seen his car, and I was just amazed. I was like, man, I totally want that. But the awesome thing is in Arizona, they take out the poison glands, and sometimes they take out the fangs. So you have a rattlesnake with no fangs and no poison, and yeah, no problem. Like when they bite you, it's nothing. So I talked to the guy, and he's like, "I get bit all the time, but like and once you take their fangs out, all they have is like sandpaper, and since they're a venom snake, they don't really have any bite because it doesn't take a huge bite pressure to put fangs. So they basically have a real gentle bite, and yeah, I thought that was kind of awesome concept. The other thing about poisonous snakes is they're not very strong if you compare them to a constrictor. Constrictors are like, man, my gopher snakes were constrictors, and they'd constrict around your arm, and you would seriously feel like some power. I had I don't know, I don't want to say it was too big, but we had a 12-foot boa constrictor for a while. that was on loan to us from that was a hassle and a half of a snake. I forget, it wasn't boa constrictor, but it was one of those, 12-foot, but not, where it was like super big around. This guy was only about that big around, but dude, he could put some oomph on you. So anyway, definitely fun. I think the funnest thing about having animals is, yeah, something to mess with. My 6-foot iguana I used to let it free. That's when I lived down in California. He's like 15. I'd let the iguana free, and he'd wander around the neighborhood. And then at night, I would basically pay whatever kid. I was like, go find my iguana. Here's $1. And I'd have 5 of the neighborhood kids run around the neighborhood trying to find the iguana. And he'd be in a tree or in the bushes somewhere. They'd have to spend I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes finding the iguana, and then I'd pay him $1, and it was catch the iguana. Now, the painful part about catching an iguana, if they're 100 degrees, they run 100 miles an hour. So I'd have to wait till night till my iguana started to cool down and slow down, and then I could catch them. So, yeah, I never let him free in the summertime because I always was afraid it wouldn't get cold enough at night for him to slow down slow enough for me to catch him.
Hello.
Hello, morning.
How are you?
I'm trying to get over my friend's cold. I'm building up my immune system. So I went and hung out with my friend's kid, and I got sick.
Oh, it seems everyone's getting sick lately. Even I'm sick right now.
It's crazy.
How are those cute little fishies of yours?
My fish are doing super awesome.
Cool.
They've been coloring up because I went easy on the easy green for a while, and I wasn't adding the C-Chem Flourish, the micronutrient. It's got like 35 vitamins and minerals in there. And so I started dosing easy green half, and I started dosing the C-Chem, and I noticed my fish's color is like picking up again. So either that or I just got the water pH correct again.
Hi, Cookie.
Hi.
DBK made you the best thumbnail.
Yeah.
The best one.
Oh, the logo, yeah.
Love it.
He was like, you didn't even put it as like your channel like picture. And I was like, yeah, I did, because I did it on Instagram too. And it's also, I did a Dan and put it as the background of my laptop.
Yeah.
It's so adorable.
I think it's the only way to roll.
And then I'll use it as like a watermark on like my pictures and like my YouTube videos and stuff. I'm like obsessed with it. Like, I'm so appreciative. Even of you guys, like just a weird Kiwi girl that you didn't know from a bar of soap, and it's like now you guys like some of my really good friends. So I like
Kiwi.
Thank you guys for that. Yeah, that's what us New Zealanders call ourselves, Kiwis. Not like kiwi, like the fruit or the flightless bird. But yeah, that's what us New Zealanders are called. Kiwis.
I always thought you guys were named after the fruit.
No, we're named after the flightless bird, our native bird. And we don't call them kiwi, we call them kiwi fruit. So it's weird when you guys call them kiwis. I'm like, what?
That would make a nice tattoo.
Would it?
On Dan.
No, I'm tempted to get the piranha on my shoulder. And I'm actually tempted to figure out how to get it as like a temporary tattoo so I can bomb out like some of the fish logos on my arm. And then when I go to pet fish stores. Like if I cruise into Corey's, aquarium co-op, and I have like, some really cool logo tattoos, I want to see him drop his jaws, and then I'll make a video. I'll be like, dude, look, I tatted myself out to go to aquarium co-op, and see him drop his jaw and be like, dude, that's like, and then like, 5 or 10 minutes later, I'll just be like, no, they're just temporary. They'll wash off in a week or two.
They have those 3D printers because my friend and I, we went to like this tattoo convention thing, and they were like choosing pictures and stuff and just like printing them on like people's arms and stuff. It was actually super cool. And I was like, wait, is that permanent? And they're like, no, it washes off in warm water and soap. I was like, thank God.
Yeah, them temporary tattoos are fun. I went to the fair with a lady friend of mine earlier this year, and we took my friend's kid with us, to have fun, and she brought one of her nieces along. So yeah. Anyway, I sent my friend a picture, and I was like, "Hey, hope you don't mind. I got your kid a tattoo." And with the photo, it looks like super real. And I sent him a little thing. It was like, "Hope you don't mind, but I signed the parental exception for him," and I said he was 15. He's like 9. But I okayed it, and so then I sent him the photo, and he gets this, "What? My wife is gonna kill you," and I go, "It'll wash off in a couple days."
That's super funny.
Yeah, like, dude. So we got done at the fair, and he's like, "Dan, for like 5 minutes, I was just freaking out because I'm like, how am I gonna tell my wife?" And I'm like, I can't believe you like actually thought. And he's like, "Dan, you're crazy. I wouldn't put anything past you. Anything." He's like, "I saw the photo. I was like, ah."
I still would have kicked your butt.
What?
I still would have kicked your butt.
No. So what's funny is I actually advertised a tattoo shop on Google, and my advertising, I went by this tattoo shop. It's kind of a lame story, and they teased me about parking in front of their building because my friend lives across the street. And so I looked at the guy, and I was like, "Well, I'm parked in a public spot." And he goes, "Well, it's just annoying. You're parked right in front of my business." And I go, "It's probably because your customers are parked right in front of my friend's house across the street." And so he just looked at me, and I go, "Well," I says, "when I go up on Google, I said, I can either write that you have a horrible, attitude, or I can write that you're a really good shopkeeper." And he looked at me, and I just walked off. And I don't know, it was like a couple days later, I parked out there, and he goes, I didn't mean to be a jerk the other day. He says, "It just gets annoying when none of my customers can find parking." And I goes, "I wanted to say sorry," because he goes, "You have as much a right to park there to visit your friend as my customers do to visit my store." And so I went and I looked up on Google, and I seen they had a couple not so happy reviews, and I went in, and he goes, "You really I didn't really want to get any more bad reviews on Google." And I go, "No, that's cool. I'll take a photo of your business because the Google car didn't take a good photo. I'll update that for you." Anyway, bottom line, I took the photo in such a way that it's a really eye-catching photo. And so even though the photo has only been up on Google for 3 months, which is 97 days or whatever. Anyway, the photo's been up there for 97 days. It's been viewed 5,000 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so the guy asks me, like, so I took the photo, and I put the photo up, and so because I'm out there in the street taking photos of his business, I don't walk across and I show him the photo. And he goes, "So you really work for Google?" And I go, "Well, when this becomes your new business photo, I guess you'll know I work for Google." And I says, "Until then, I'm just some jerk that parks in front of your store, right?" And he kind of smiled. He goes, No, we're over that now, right?" And I go, "Yeah." Anyway, so a couple days later, I parked in front of his store, and he walked out, and he's like, "Dude, you really do work for Google." I'm like, Yeah. I says, "And now that I took that photo," I said, "I'm going to play around with it, and I'm going to drag a couple of your photos from Facebook over so that your business page in Google looks really awesome, along with that really awesome, the front of your business photo. And I says, and we're going to see what happens. And I said, I'm going to try to push that photo around so that Google sees it's current. And I'm going to see how many views I can, I said, I'll just play around 60 seconds a minute, but I can do all this stuff off my phone. So, I pull in and I park. I pop up my phone for 60 seconds, my way of saying, thanks for not flipping me crap for parking in front of your business. And I said, I get to mess around and advertise you as much as I want. And I said, I've never gotten to advertise a tattoo shop, so I'm going to get to play around and learn some things about Google that I don't know. And we'll just see how good I do. Anyway, bottom line, when I started this process, they like nobody that came into their business, and I says, ask all your people, how they find your business. And, they'd be like word of mouth, friends, word of mouth. And then a month into it, he's like, yeah, half our people find us on Google. And I just talked to the guy 2 days ago, and he's like, I don't get it. Everybody finds us on Google. And I'm like, yeah, you're the number one rated tattoo shop in the county. He's like, how did that happen? And I go, well, you got a 4.9. You're the highest rated. Yeah. So I said, anybody looking up a tattoo shop in Tacoma sees you as number 2. I said, even if they look up their tattoo shop by name, Google lists you up as the second best choice. So I said, you're getting just tons of free press. And I says, and it's all due to that photo I took. So I said, let me continue to have fun. And he's like, sure. Can you please park in front of our business more often? I'm like, sure. When your customers aren't, already parked there. But anyway, it's fun.
That's awesome.
I'm trying to get this video uploaded in the background, so we'll see how this upload goes. But I don't know. The bottom line is I like to have fun, and I like to help people, and I like to do things a little differently. So, but like he said, he goes, I'm pretty. I don't know. If they want to give me a tattoo. That's the bottom line. So, but that's what I thought was funny is because my buddy's like, Dan, he goes, I wouldn't put it past you with all that work you do at the tattoo shop. And I was laughing. But no, you guys want to know what's been on my mind lately is,
oh no, no,
Don't be mean.
I'm kidding.
Well, I think this is a topic that you are probably well versed in,
Who?
Mr. Aquarium. So, I was. Should we just call you Bjorn?
Hey, you
anyway,
said it right.
I can only get that little twist on the accent like 10% of the time. So just feel special. It's Monday.
I sat there and I said his name over and over again to make sure that I got it.
You have to say it while looking in a mirror, and you got to make the weird looking face that Jean Michael makes when he says it.
Did you ever hear of the tennis? Did you ever hear of the tennis player Bjorn Borg and the singer Bjorn and the singer Bjork and the Viking son in the Viking series Bjorn? Ever heard this name? It amazes me.
That's how I remember your name, Bjork, the singer.
You got it.
I was looking at life, the other day. Well, I guess the other day I got in a car accident. I tore my truck up pretty good, but it still drives, I think the biggest thing is nobody was critically hurt or any of that stuff. I guess the lady says she's a little jarred or whatever. Oh, well. But, yeah, so, I look at life and I was thinking, some people break down life into, a day or a month or a year. And I guess I look at my life, I kind of live day to day, and people are like, that's, an odd concept because people are always trying to plan stuff months out or years out. And I was talking to one of my friends the other day who's like 35, and he's like, "Yeah, Dan, I'm going down to the casket shop to like talk about getting a casket and getting life insurance, in case I die, like my kids, it's all prepared." And I'm like, "You're 35," and he's like, "You never can tell." And I thought he was crazy. Anyway, but I guess I look at life today and I go, "Wow, you're like 60 seconds," and it's kind of this thing that's been ringing in my brain. And I guess for you, Mr. Aquarium, because it's easier to say, I think for you in your line of work, you realize that 60 seconds, that can be life or death for a lot of people, for a lot of the stuff that you do. And I realize that
weekly.
Yeah. Then in 60 seconds, the second part of what's so special about you being on chat tonight is I think in 60 seconds, you have the ability to totally change people's lives. And you might only have like a 3-minute interaction with some of the people that you cross paths with. But I think you in your position with a badge and a few other things, you have a chance to really impart some knowledge on people and say, hey, you really shouldn't be living this way. It's kind of like the same people that come across my path, and I get to have some real serious conversations. And it blows my mind when I look at some of the conversations I've had with people in the last year, and just really, this crazy chick was like, I got this boyfriend. I think he's doing heroin in my house, and she's like, can I get a ride? I'm like, you can't get in my car. And she's like, what? Tried to act like I was all crazy. And I looked at her and I'm like, you thought you think you have a boyfriend, but you don't. You have a heroin addict. And as long as you're allowing a man to kill himself in your house, like, I'm not going to let you in my car because you're like pretty much a murderer. What should I do? I'm like, call the cops. Tell them you got a heroin addict in your house. Tell them to come find the drugs and kick the guy out. I was like, but don't try to be his girlfriend for 3 months because he's been out of treatment, or he's been in treatment twice in the last year and a half, and is trying to convince you that he's not on heroin, but you're pretty sure he is because he's pulling all the same shit that he did before he went into treatment. Like, has he ever been clean? And then she said something else, and I'm like, no, honey, it's cool. You can think you have a boyfriend, but you're going to kill the guy. And he's obviously not your girlfriend because he's in a relationship with heroin. He's not in a relationship with you. If he's in a relationship with you, yeah, but bottom line, I don't like people like you in my life. So until you change your life, I just want you to be 100 feet away from me. Go finish killing your boyfriend. My friends thought I was a little harsh, but I'm like, two of my friends came back the other day and were like, yeah, we talked about it with each other, Dan, and we think you're right. Like, she's pretty much going to be a murderer if she doesn't, because she's allowing a guy to kill himself. And I'm like, brutal honesty, maybe she'll. Anyway, Cop, that's what I look at in your life is sometimes you get to have these 2-minute chit chats with people that really slap them upside the head and make them go, I might want to change the way I'm doing stuff if the cops are going to keep showing up and telling me how to live. Make sense?
Absolutely makes sense. Can I talk for 20 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay. Job is, you don't even know. And I love my job, which is weird. Most cops hate their job. My job is, you don't see me, you don't hear me. I show up at the worst time and I make it good. And you have that gift, Dan, and Teresa, and a lot of people in the Fish fam. Like, I just want to come home after talking to some guy off a bridge or seeing a lot of bad stuff and just get together and share a tiny, simple thing, whether it's a dog, Tim's little baby ninny pigs, as I call them, just people being honest, not cursing, being friendly. It's beautiful. I don't know how to explain this. Like, I can't, like, at work, I do my thing, and I've never hurt anyone, or lethal, and, like, everybody calls me Andy Griffin, because I'm just a good dude that just understands people. I can read a person before I see them, and so there's been times people whacked out on drugs that, But you got to know to walk this way, walk that way, stand back, save the people around. I just am so appreciative of everybody. Like Teresa, you're new. Like really, I could sense you're in the Netherlands, and I'm in New York, and you're just a good person. I know it. And Dan is a great person. Dan likes to talk, and I love to hear him, and I love to listen to him. Like I could watch Tim play drums. I could listen to Jay, 1985, play video games. You just know good people. And we really need to grab that, you know? Like, you could go on other streams. There's hate, I just want to go home, look at my fish, kiss my kids, take care of my mother in Brooklyn, and it's just amazing. Like, look, 6 people watching now. Like, really? Like, if that's 6 awesome people that want to hear awesome people. Like, look, oh my God, man, Yama's here. Yama, way before Cookie, and you know this, Dan, Yama was there when Akash was there, jumped off YouTube for a little bit. And we all got pissed off about it. And then he came back, and I just want everybody to know I'm not just aquarium cop, whatever, delete or like down. We're people, What I love about the Fish family is we all understand that we're real people. It's not commercials. I'm not selling you T-shirts and fish food. And like when Dan goes away for a week or G. Michael gets depressed, me and Dan just stepped up, like we don't want another Akash on our hands. Because that same week, Akash disappeared, let's just say. 2 people in my squad, cops killed themselves too. And a best friend of mine from years back disappeared, killed himself. 2 people in my squad, cops killed themselves too. And a best friend, I guess, from years joined. Anyway, I just want to tell you all, yes, Yama just joined and he has the sound on. So it's going to be done now. I just want to tell you, Dan, right time in my life, Teresa, people just need to really understand that, this is cool. This is really cool. Like this is my outlet. My girlfriend, my mother, my kids don't even have my channel. They don't comment. They don't know it. This is mine.
Yeah.
Friends, yes, I have friends in real life, but it's fun. It's fun. Appreciate it. And any haters does not bother me, ever. That's why G. Michael with his hater thing, that drove me nuts. I'm like, really, kid?
I shouldn't laugh, man.
He's a kid. He's got to grow up. It's fine. And he will. And he has.
It is, but so the thing I get at is, as I look at these 60-second, like I look at how fast my life flies by, and it's like I got home last night, and I've always got something on my plate, 2 or 3 things. I'm always trying to, figure out some stuff. But it's like I came home last night and I sat in my chair and I looked at my tank and I looked at my angelfish swimming around in my, my big grow out tank over here. And I just looked at that one right there, just kind of owning the tank. He's got some food up there. And I just looked at the whole school of angels swimming around and my firetail guppies swimming around together. And I just thought, wow, I got like a whole world in there. And then I sat back and I thought, I'm surrounded by water, but it's not just the energy of water, which we all know is like oxygen, very reactive atom, and two hydrogens. But that water right there is also filled with bacteria that I can't even see. That's got its own life, and that's what helps the plants thrive and get all the nutrients they need from the fish. Anyway, I don't just got one tank in my room. I got like 10 tanks, and I was looking at my angelfish, and I was thinking each of my angelfish has their own heartbeat, and that's their own energy. And I looked at my life, and I just sat back and I go, I'm surrounded by such positive energy. And then I thought, I got all this positive energy from hanging out with people in the fish fam, and people going, yeah, like I'm 10 tanks deep or 90 tanks deep. I'm doing a 10% water change a day. And that's the big thing. I was like, oh, I'm going to step it up. And I noticed that as I step up the amount of energy that I put into my fish tanks, the color, and I guess the amount of life in my fish tanks rises. And that gives me energy to just kind of keep, as I tell people, plowing forward. Because like you said, Cop, there's just some jerks out there, some haters, and some stuff to focus on. And so I come back to this 60 seconds thing, and I look at my life as not an hour, because I don't necessarily have hours of interaction with people, but I get 5 minutes. And I thought to myself, Dan, what's important is to make every 60 seconds count. What can I say, or what can I do, or what can I change to be, I don't know, helpful? Or sometimes I'm supposed to be learning. So sometimes I'm supposed to shut my mouth and maybe open my ears to something new. And that's what I look at. And I go, how do you create a lifestyle called 60 seconds? And then I go, well, people can die in 60 seconds. People's lives are gone in 60 seconds. And people that are like thinking they're going to live to be 90 are all of a sudden, poof, life's over. So what I get to realize today is I don't necessarily have a year to be angry at you. I really don't have 5 minutes to be angry at somebody. And people go, oh, so that means you're not angry at anybody. And I go, I'm annoyed at people in my life. Sure. But that's not the focus of my life. I get to come home and have the focus of fish, or I get to have the focus of Aquarium Cop, or the focus of Teresa, or, like Yama's here. So I'm like double thumbs up. I want to like stop talking and let Yama talk. So I probably want to finish what I'm saying real quick. But I realized today that I want to put myself in a position to be helpful to people, and that I might only have that 60 seconds to be awesome. And I realized that my life today, I shouldn't say my life today, because I'm not sure when my life will end, but they say that everybody's life passes between their eyes. And the only thing that really matters is the people that you've loved, and the people that have loved you, and the people that you've had an impact on, and the people that have impacted you. That's your life. That's it. What else is there to think about if you only have 60 seconds left? And I thought to myself, if my life was going to flash before my eyes, what would I change about myself tomorrow that would make that flash of life before my eyes better? And I thought, simple. I want to be able to know that I loved my friends more, and that they loved having me in their life. And that idea, that thought, and that concept, basically, it puts me in one state. It puts me in a state of love. So I thought, that's who I get to be today. I get to be a person that spreads love. And I thought, dang, and the hard part of that is sometimes to love people, I got to become an angry, mean, well, let's just say an ugly person. And I talked to Cop, and I think you're always on the bright and friendly, but I don't know, and I kind of get bummed out when I have to become that ugly guy. And I go, man, I don't know how to not be that ugly guy, to get that point across sometimes, or to get the message that needs to be said. But I realize in my life that I want to have that impact, so I'm not afraid to be a jerk, and I'm not afraid to write people off, and I'm not afraid to hurt people's feelings. And I'm not afraid to be me. And sometimes it's costed me friendships, but I would rather be me than have somebody in my life that, I don't know, doesn't value me and doesn't value themselves. And I think there's a lot of people out there that just They don't want to live like I live. They just want to live dull and boring lives. And I think that in the fish fam, the thing that I'm amazed at is I think everybody I've met, they seem to want to take their fish keeping to the next level. They seem to want to take their friendships to the next level. And everybody I've met in the fish community, I'm really happy about because they have a level of care and compassion that I don't get to see in probably but about 10% of the people that cross my path. So to be able to cross such a huge group of people that have so much heart in one area, yes, it really does have an impact in my life. And I get to realize how special it is that the only comparable people that I have here on the fish fam are these people at this crazy coffee shop that I run into. Just all kinds of different people from all over the county, basically getting coffee at midnight or 4 in the morning. But yeah, it's the cops swing by the shop, the EMTs swing by the shop, crazy hot peel university chicks swing by the shop, Republicans, Trump's, just, you never know who's going to be there having coffee and what they're going to be talking about, which sometimes it's lame and sometimes it's awesome. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm going to try to develop, I don't know, the 60-second lifestyle. How to live minute to minute at maximum velocity. It'll become a new religion, you guys. So that's Monday. I'm, got the sneezels and I'm probably sick in the brain, and I should probably just let Yama talk for a while.
Let's give, well, I don't know if Yama is talking or just are you there? Yama's not there. All right, Teresa, in 3 sentences, just say blah, whatever. Hi, I'm Teresa. I agree. This is my thoughts. Whatever. Now the dogs are barking.
Well, as Dan was saying, it kind of comes home to his fish and, us guys and stuff. Like, after he's dealing with, I was going to swear, but I'm not going to. But yeah, I find that too, because I've got school, kids, just life going on, and it's like stressful. And then I can sit here with you guys and we can just talk about whatever. And I actually really enjoy it. And it's nice having people that are interested in the same things that I'm interested in and are sort of the same people. Because there's a lot of the time I get accused of being either too rude because I'm blunt or too nice, and people don't know how to take me because it's like I'm like the person that will be like, no, it's okay, I'll do that for you, or do you want me to buy you some food and stuff? And they kind of like back away from me, and that's how, strangely, how I've lost a lot of friends, because I'm just too nice.
I don't know. I'm not afraid to lose friends. That's the thing.
Well, I absolutely agree with Teresa. Sorry, I'm the same way. I bite my. All right, this is stream, so I can't say the F word, which I want to say 50 times right now, to be honest with you. Because that's what you do when you release with friends as an adult, so kids, don't listen to it, and I'm not going to say it. But I'm very well trained because I have 2 daughters. I'm a single father with 2 daughters, and I don't think that maybe once or twice they heard me curse, and someone died, and I was like, whatever. But I'm telling you, I carry so much on my shoulders, and I love to do that. That's my own fault, and people like Cookie and so many other people, but you 2 guys are here right now, so that's the name I'm mentioning. I went to so many other streams and talk about YouTube and this, that, and the other thing, and in real life, and like, I don't know, it's just we have common ground. Whether you're Dan in Washington, with an annoying roommate or your cookie and with a broken tank or, like there's no other streams I've been on. I love farmer streams. I love people that walk through the woods. Anything nature I really like. So I think people with the nature thing has a really good thing going on. I mean, I think I got like one out of my whatever videos, like maybe one or two actual hate what do you call it, comments. Yeah, I get the thumbs down here and there. Who cares? Listen, I have fish. I love fish. My fish don't die. I don't have anything incredible to talk about, like, oh, my fish died because of this or this, that. I was born, my grandparents had fish. My parents had fish. I'd never been out. I'd never had my life without a fish tank. And I don't want to be like, oh, fish tank people rule. No. Talking about real people, because I read the real people. And Dan and Teresa, that we have these good people from this side of the world, that side of the world. It's just so cool. And I'm no better than anybody else, that's for sure. But I just think people should just be like, oh, I'll help you. Oh, that's cool. I'm not talking about money, that's for sure. I'm the worst at that because I just give my freaking money away constantly to my mom and my kids, and I don't even care about me. But just honest, just be honest and happy. And holy crap, it's just so cool to meet people that are in my story. You guys will be crying like I'm getting. And it's not that kind of stream. So I just appreciate everything. Like Yama, really, Yama, you're there. I hear you, I see you. You've been through it. And, you came back. He went away. I'm not going away. Like, I know people like, oh, Robert is crazy videos, smashing a hammer on a box. That's just for entertainment. The item that was wasn't even in a box, came in an envelope. And just try to make it a little more interesting because I don't have the drama of dead fish because I've been keeping fish since 1970. I mean, I was born in 1970, but I was born with fish. And, I don't have fish dying and all. I don't know TDS, pH, ABC, blah, blah. I look at my fish every day. My fish don't die because of me. I might buy some fish that is sick and they die. So, a lot of people like really hone in on like, oh God, the fish died. Let's look at that and comment and give them come on. What is that? They didn't even think about the person. My videos are so opposite of me. I'm like a little fluffy teddy bear, Everybody's like, oh, your videos are so hardcore, blah, blah. I don't have technology to interesting. I don't have drama with my fish dying. So I make them I make them short, a little spicy, and that's it. So I don't know who can follow that. That's what I said. So there you go, Teresa. It's your turn.
I don't know what to talk about. I'm like, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, out of it. I need coffee.
I'm gonna go get coffee right now. I'll be right back.
Oh my God. Dan ditches us. Bye. Go in the bathroom over there in the curtain. I wish you lived closer. I want to Axolotl so bad you have no idea. And I can't.
Well, like my bigger one, Oh my god, that's so adorable. I'm like a mother with a newborn baby. It's like, oh my god, look at their little feet, their little eyes. Because I'm just starting to get like their back legs. Well, some of them are, but the bigger ones have back legs. It's so cute.
You know how Tim has those axolotls, has the green one, the
wild type.
the leucistic one, and the other one. I love the one that looks like a little cute chubby baby with the black eyes. That's the one I want. I think it's called leucistic, and people call them sometimes. What you said it?
A dirty leucistic.
Or something like that. Or the dirty.
I mean, I've got gold. Yeah, the dirty leucistic.
I want a dirty Lucy because they have beautiful eyes. So those little black eyes that look at you.
Yeah.
And I know, like, we got some crap on Tim's stream on there about the term "dirty Lucy," but it didn't mean nothing bad. It was just what you guys call them over there. Yeah, it was called. Basically, it meant a freckled, leucistic. Yeah. Right? Am I wrong? Because everybody's going nuts. I remember that night, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, this perversion."
And I'm like sitting there going, "But that's the terminology we use. It wasn't anything to do with It
was just, I don't know. It was funny because everybody else took it the wrong way.
Oh well, things happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-oh. Dan's back, I think.
Look at that. We got White in here now. That is awesome.
I was going to say, what's up, White? Join the stream. Please save us from killing ourselves here. Save us. Save knowledge and...
Otherwise, I'll go on some other crazy rant.
That's okay. We actually love your rants, Dan. We learn things.
I don't know. I mean, it's. I think for me, it's really interesting to be able to look at people's lives from a totally different angle, and people will tell me how they're living, and I'll be like, "That's how you think you're living," but what I heard you say was this. Yeah. And and I look at relationships that people have, and I'm like, my friends will talk about like just different stuff, and I'll be like, I think you have a relationship with that person because you drink a lot of beer and they drink a lot of beer, and if one of you quit drinking beer, you guys wouldn't be friends anymore. Yep. And it's like the other day, one of my friends was talking about some difficulties he's having with his brother, and this particular gentleman was court ordered not to drink, right? And so then he did this whole thing where he'll go to jail if they catch him drinking and all this other stuff. Anyway, so he keeps talking about this great relationship he has with his brother and how they're best of friends and all this other stuff. And I looked at him and I go, no, your brother is just like you. Alcohol is the most important thing in his life. And he's like, no, he's not. We're brothers. Like and I go, listen, I said, if you went to your brother and told your brother that his drinking was affecting your relationship and that you weren't going to come over if your brother was drinking, do you think your brother would quit drinking? And he goes, well, that's not fair to say. And I go, well, that's not an answer to the question. I said, just answer the question. Think about it. And he goes, yeah, Dan, I can't get my brother to quit drinking. And if I told him to not drink or I wouldn't come over, he would probably tell me to fuck off. Sorry about that. And keep drinking. And I go, well, it just shows you how important your relationship with your brother is and how important his relationship with alcohol is. And I said, and it's not that the relationship as you and your brother is not important. It's just that his relationship with alcohol is 100 times more important than the relationship with you. So when you talk about your brother being 50-50, realize that you in his life is like 1% of his life. And that's it, because 99% of his life is drinking. And since you'll have no effect on his drinking, you pretty much will have no effect on his life. And he pretty much could kind of care less about you. And once again, it's because of how much alcohol is a part of his life and how much you're not a part of his life or unimportant in his life. You might be his brother, but you're just like, you might as well be a street bum. Seriously. And he goes, I resent that, Dan. And I go, well, when you think about it for a while, you'll figure out that I'm right. And if a street bum went to your brother and said, quit drinking, you would have the same effect, which shows you the true relationship that you have with your brother. And he just looked at me for like 30 seconds and he kind of squinted his eyes and he goes, you know, Dan, that's like the rudest thing you could probably say to me, but it's probably about the most 100% correct thing that anybody's ever said to me. And I think you're right. And my brother is really sick. And I said, yeah, now that you see that your brother's really sick, you'll change your actions with him and you'll start treating him like a sick, addicted drunk as opposed to your brother. And I says, and sometimes you might need to exercise some tough love. Like, hey, I'm not going to be a part of your life until you go to treatment. And I'm not going to lend you money. And I'm going to stop doing the things that brothers do to brothers. And I says, and you'll start treating him like who and what he is and how he treats you. And I said, and that might make your life go a little smoother. And I said, and the only reason I'm having this conversation is every time we meet, you want to talk to me for 10 minutes about the crap your brother's pulling in your life. And I says, and I'm just telling you, if you want to quit that crap, quit going around your brother. And he was just like, you know, what was awesome is I got to meet up with him like 3 days later. And he was like, you know, Dan, I've decided to put my focus in other areas, not so much on my brother anymore, because he doesn't want to be my brother. So I don't really want to be his brother. And until his attitude changes, I'm going to put my energy in more productive areas in life. And I go, are you going to do 50-50 with your brother? And he goes, no, I'm not going to do 1%, but I'm going to be there like 10% of the time as opposed to the 50-50 I've been doing. So I says, well, you're still out of balance. And he says, I can't totally give up on my brother because he's sick, but you're right, Dan. I don't need to be 50-50 along for the crap ride that he's on. And I thought, that's all I wanted you to think about. I said, that's the only reason I chewed your ear off for 10 minutes the other day. And he just looked at me and he goes, Dan, I just want to give you a big hug. And I go, that's what everybody does. And he just gave me the biggest hug and said, thank you. And I just, you know, and then he had to go do stuff with his wife and kid. And, you know, I wandered back out to the car. But let me tell you guys what, I drove down the road for like a mile, just feeling like $1,000,000, you know? And I just was like, this guy's going to change his life. And he's going to have a little bit better life. And maybe, just maybe, that change will have an impact, a negative impact on his brother's drinking because he's not lending him money anymore and he's not giving him rides to the store. And I'm like, dude, you know, he mentioned some stuff about giving his brother rides when his brother was drunk so that his brother wouldn't drunk drive. And I go, what are you going to do? Be there the next 100 times? And he was like, I got a life. And I go, well, your brother's going to drunk drive and do the same thing you did. Except your brother's already got two DWIs and you've only got one. So I says, he's still drink driving, right? And he's like, yeah, that's ridiculous. And I'm like, he already got 2 DWIs and he hasn't learned. Like, you can't teach him and the cops can't teach him and the judge can't teach him. So he's going to get a third one and then he'll get to figure something new out and he'll get to live differently. And I says, and you don't have to be a part of that. Or I said, he can get that third DWI and you can go spend $15,000 getting him out of jail. He said, it don't cost that much, Dan. I go, well, on the third one, it's got to cost something because you're definitely a threat to society at that point. And he goes, yeah, Dan, my brother is kind of a threat to society and I don't know what to do. And I says, well, quit enabling. And he goes, I'll have to work on that, but I don't really want to talk about any more of this today, Dan. You're going to get me down, man, and I want to be up. And I'm like, let's talk about fishing. But I realize in life today that, you know, for me, I'd rather have those hard conversations with people and tell them that they're, you know, their life is a little out of whack, and then they make a change, and then I see that change, and I get to feel like $1,000,000. And the reality is, if I was just some lame, dumb friend who just had a bunch of lame, dumb friends, and that's where I come back on this 60-second deal. It's what am I able to do in the next 60 seconds that can make somebody's life way different or way better or have a big impact? And that's why, you know, I was thinking about Cop the other day, and, you know, every time I think this way, I think, you know, Cop gets to live his profession in a way that he's got that magic 3 minutes or that magic 60 seconds, or maybe for you, it might even be a magic 7 minutes or 10 minutes. But I think the words you use, yeah, definitely make people think that maybe the way they're living isn't right. If you're showing up at their door to tell them how to live, I don't have that ability. I'm just, you know, tell people I'm just some stupid white guy in Tacoma, you know. But I've gotten to live in many different areas and see many different ways of living. And people look at the way I live, and I go, I can't think of anybody I'd rather be than me. That's kind of the craziest deal. You know, I'm not a millionaire. I don't have the greatest truck. I do have the greatest fish in the land. I know that. But my life is a lot more than having the greatest fish in the land. You know, I think I have the greatest friends in the land too. And I have friends around the world that talk, you know, crazy, awesome fish stuff that just, it amazes me that you guys have, like Cop was saying, you guys have such an incredible impact. Like, we don't get to shake hands and hug and all that jazz, go out to dinner together, but I get to see what you guys are doing on a daily basis, and we get to chat about stuff on a level that's awesome. And I think the biggest thing about, like, getting back once again to what Cop was saying, is that we all come together on a common ground of a deep love of fish. And I don't know. I guess I look at my life and I just want to focus on having a little more love in my life.
Ziet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Joep.
Meow, Yama's hitting it.
What were
Give
you
Yama the
saying,
screen.
Yama?
Yellow.
Are you there, Yama? I'm going to highlight your screen. Your fish are sideways.
I know. They drunk.
So are you living the dream, Yama, or trying to live the dream on this Monday?
It's almost time to sleep, so almost live the dream of the Tuesday.
Man, that's got to be nice. Your Monday must have flown by.
Almost, yeah. Oh, putain de merde.
Yama, I have to
Sorry,
see your cat.
my French.
This cat.
My cat. Which one? What glasses? Fuzzy. Fuzzy.
You know what I really like is your bearded dragons, Yama.
I was only babysitting him. So normally I get them back in the summer.
Dan, he was only babysitting the bearded dragon.
I know. I totally spaced out. And I thought about that, and I'm like, I remember the stream he was on where he was like, I'm gonna have to give him back in 3 days.
I was done too. I got them for 2 weeks. I had them for 1 week extra. Fuzzy! Stupid cat.
What's going on, everyone?
Hey, morning.
The monster is back.
What's up, George? South Florida.
Yeah.
What's up, Aquarium Cop?
Hey, Cichlids, welcome to the stream.
Thanks, man. What's going
Here
on?
is the cat.
Just talking about fish and life and as much other crazy stuff as we can pack into this Hangouts
All right.
to keep everybody smiling on the Monday.
And
Yep.
that's George.
So yeah, we're basically trying to talk about fish, like raising guppies and angelfish and cichlids and rasboras and tigers. So definitely fun. It looks like you got a bunch of African cichlids, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. These guys are little ruby red peacock fry.
Man, that's got to be nice.
That's a daddy.
Wow, that's got some color. Holy moly. Man. I like how you have that tank all just simple setup.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's super easy to clean.
I'm on MB, Phases.
I do water changes on this like 2 or 3 times a week sometimes, and yeah, it definitely makes it a lot easier. You don't have to like be digging through the substrate or the sand. Yeah.
Fuzzy.
See, that's like this tank right here.
Nice. Yeah.
So you got the same I got the same filter and I got the same heater back there.
Yep.
And then once again, well, I run these little gravel pots for a little bit of
Nice.
extra bacteria. But yeah, other than that, it's bare bottom.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But yeah, I love being able to do water changes in this thing like instantly.
Yep. And a lot of the time, the sponge filter picks up all that like crap off the floor, and you don't really have to like dig in there too deep either. Just pretty much turn the hose on, drain it out, and fill it back up.
Yeah. Yeah, my other big trick is to run those huge power filters on the intakes. That's like a 5-inch by 3-inch by 2-inch sponge.
Nice.
My big bacteria colony.
Yeah, actually, in the tank that I have on that one sponge filter, I had maybe like 20 2-inch fry in there, juveniles, and it did perfectly fine. I wasn't having any ammonia, any nitrite issues either. It's a 75-gallon sponge though, and it's a 20-gallon tank.
Yeah, that's the big key on them sponges is people recommend running quadruple numbers.
Yeah, as big as you could get it.
Yeah, as they're like, just go to the 80, stick it in the 20.
Mm-hmm.
But I get amazed at how just how well those sponges really, like, they'll pack up. Like my sponges will pack up with bacteria in like a month to 2 months. But I think a lot of that's because I have a high fish load on my tanks.
Yeah, that definitely helps. And I think it's the best way to like start a new tank. I have usually on my backup tanks, I have like a sponge in there just so I could get seated. And whenever I start a new tank, I just throw it in the new tank and it's instantly cycled.
Yeah, I just set up my friend set up a tank for a guy, and that's what I did. Is I was just like, look, I'll just pull a sponge filter out of one of my tanks, and I go, within an hour of me dropping the sponge in there, it'll be a cycled tank. So don't worry if we add 7 fish in there. Little 10-gallon tank. When I says you're not going to get an ammonia spike. So have you been keeping fish for a while?
Yeah, about 8 or 9 years now.
Wow.
And it's like the first 2 or 3 years were like the trial and error days. There was no Facebook groups back then. There was no Fish Fam on YouTube. So, you pretty much had to experience everything yourself and make the decisions from there. And after that, then I joined on Monster Fish Keepers online, and that was a ton of information. And now with YouTube and everything, it's like anything you want to know about, it's out there.
Yeah, that's what I really enjoy is being able to, because I've only been in this hobby for like 11 months now, 10 months,
Nice.
and I got like 12 tanks deep.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm floating like 270 gallons.
Nice.
Big enough for you also.
Yeah, I went and I helped a friend of mine move, and he was like, Dan, you got to go home with 3 fish tanks. And yeah, so what's funny is about a month after having the fish, he came over to my house and saw the setup and was like, Dan, I have to move again. He only got to move where he was going for a month. He thought it would be a year. But he came over and he gave me this, he saw what I was doing with his angelfish, and he brought over his 14-inch albino tiger Oscar. And he was like, Dan, like, you're obviously going to take better care of the fish than I do. And I'm like, well, haven't you been in the hobby for like 7 years? And he's like, Dan, I've been in the hobby all my life. And he goes, and you're obviously in 30 days doing better than I have.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
Yeah, you're putting in the hours doing the research, That's what makes it or breaks it.
I blame it on the fish fam. Everybody helping me out when I had questions about how to breed my angelfish, and then I ended up having like 300 baby angelfish, and it was awesome.
That's awesome, man. So are you selling those guys now, or you're still growing them out? What are you doing?
Well, I was trying to sell them to a pet store, and they closed down, so I've got to figure out, like, in the next month where to offload about 200 angelfish.
Have you tried Craigslist?
No, I shied away from Craigslist.
How come?
Because people just said that they haven't had good experiences.
Well, I haven't done it for a long time as far as like the breeding and selling. I've been doing it maybe 6 months now, but I've had great success on Craigslist, and you could definitely get more for your fish on Craigslist than you can selling to a local fish store.
Yeah, somebody was telling me I should just box up like 50 of them and like aquabit them.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely harder to move that number on Craigslist, because you have so many. But I'll tell you what, in the past like 2 months, I've sold like 100 African peacock fry. And they might not come all out to take all your fish at once, but since you're getting more money for the fish too, and as the fish get bigger, you could charge more too. I don't know. It's worked good for me. And I just make a post. You show the fish that are for sale. You put like an asking price. Some people will try to like lowball you or whatever. But what I usually do, it's like, oh, you want a better price? You need to buy quantity. If you buy 10 of them, I could give you them maybe 50 cents or $1 cheaper each fish, stuff like that. And the people that have actually come to me, I have been able to help them as well. Because a lot of them are new or starting, and they want more fish from me. I'm to the point that I'm out of fry, and everyone that has bought from me wants new varieties. So I set up 2 new tanks, and I'm gonna get it going again.
Dang. But you're all on the African cichlids though, huh?
Yeah. I just have African cichlids.
Yeah, somebody was saying they're starting to get a big push for those.
Yeah, like I think the African cichlids definitely over like the past like 5 years have just taken over. Mostly the Lake Malawi peacocks and the small haps. Then during like the past, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years, people started getting into like the big predator haps, and now they're getting into Lake Tanganyika with the shell dwellers. So it's all a trend, but these fish sell, and angelfish sell too.
Yeah, that's been amazing. Is the whole shell dweller, because like a year ago, one of the fish stores I go to didn't have shell dwellers, and now he's got 4 tanks of them.
Wow. Yeah.
He got 1 tank, and I went in the other day. It's a fish store. It's kind of out of the way. It takes about 45 minutes to get there. But yeah, I was in there the other day, and I was like, dang. So I mentioned to that fish store, I was like, you ever want to buy angelfish? And he said, yeah, shoot me a photo. And I haven't shot him photos yet.
Yeah.
But
Have you talked like numbers with any of the guys from the fish stores?
yeah, actually the fish store, I had $3 a fish or $4 in-store credit.
Okay. Yeah, that's not bad, man. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I like the African cichlids because right now here locally I could raise them from the moment that they're free swimming. I could raise them for 2 months, and then I could charge $5 to $7 for that fish on Craigslist. The thing about these African cichlids too, though, is that the fish stores want them in full color. They don't want small fish that are unsexed. And if you know, the males are the only ones that get color.
Yeah.
And so then you're stuck with like a whole bunch of females, and I mean, females are never bad because they're the ones that produce for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been definitely trying to figure it out. I think one of the things I looked at for me right now is trying to, while I'm talking to everybody, they're like, make sure your male is like, a show winner. And then, mate him with a show winner female. And I think I didn't realize that, when I first got into I started breeding fish like when I was 2 months into this. And so now I'm really, really picky about the fish that I allow to breed. Where, when I first bred these guys, I was like, oh, I got fish or breeding. I didn't know anything. I didn't care. And so I got a few genetic deformities. So that kind of bugged.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people just call them. For me it's hard. But we have one that was born without a tail. What we think happened is probably it was so far in the female's mouth that it might have gotten snipped or something. But I'm growing that guy out, actually. My girlfriend felt bad too.
I was trying to get caught up. I'm reading chat right now. I'm trying to read all the funny comments. But yeah, it's a good point about how you were saying that they only want the males with the color.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they still want to give you, like $10 for a fish that they sell for $30 to $35, right? And I could sell that same fish on Craigslist for $20.
Yeah, I get amazed at some of the prices. Like, I was looking at this Frontosa the other day, and the guy wanted $250 for it. I mean, yeah, it was like 12 inches long with the super huge, but I'm just like, man, When I,
Hey,
and I look at,
Sasquatch, join in. See Sasquatch in the chat.
yeah, get on the link is up there, right?
Yeah, it's like all the way up there. I don't know if you could share it again.
All right, let me see.
Come join this hangout.
Let me try to pop the link down here. There we go.
Teresa, that's hilarious. You just gotta squeeze it in the water.
Trust me, I've tried everything and it just floats. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
it can just sit on top of the tank.
You just gotta make sure it's fully submerged and squeeze it real good to get all the air out of it.
It's not, I think it's like, I'll figure it out. But thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I like put it in and I was like, Oh no, it's floating. Crap. I'm silicone tile to it. Still floats. Squeeze it. Still floats. I'm just like, I even tried the filling, like putting the gravel in like a mesh bag, and like, I got frustrated with it.
Half-ass Harry. Yeah, I remember that one, Sasquatch. Look, I'm gonna show you my guy. I got him right here in my room. Let's see. Of course, he would be hiding right here. He's like right behind there, and there's another fish in here with him. These guys are growing pretty good. These fry, they were like half the size like a week ago.
No, that's what are you feeding them, by the way?
Right here. Norfin fry starter.
Nice.
It's 100% krill. It's like a powder, and it has well, it's all protein pretty much.
So wait, which company is that again?
Norfin.
Northfin. All right. Somebody else mentioned that fry starter to me the other day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good quality. The brand is known for their quality, the Northfin. They're making like one of the best foods out right now. I feed mostly that and New Life Spectrum, and for veggie pellets I feed Omega 1. These guys are about to get started on pellets, though. Maybe in another half a week to a week I could start them on the little micro pellets, and that's better for them.
Yeah, those guys. Now, how many are in there? Like what, 10 or something?
Nah, there's 18 to 20.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of them back there by that sponge filter.
Oh, I see. There's like a mess of them hiding out underneath it, and a few of them are in that rock cave.
Yeah, there's like 5 over on this side too. It's not the best camera. It's a pretty old tablet.
Oh, that's smooth though. I think that's a nice, just a nice setup though to raise fry up in.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had this tank going for like 4 months, just like this, and I've raised, this is my second batch of fry that's going to be raised here. But before I didn't have a bigger tank to put them in, so they just grew in here. Now when they get like maybe an inch or a little over an inch, I'm going to move them over to a 40 breeder, and they'll be able to grow faster in there.
No, that's just awesome, awesome. All right, you guys got to hold down the fort. I'm gonna go get me some coffee real quick.
All right.
See if we can't get some people lurking in chat to come hang out.
Stop hiding, you lurkers.
Yeah, you tell them, Cookie. Use the magic power of your accent.
My accent sucks.
I'll be back in flash, y'all.
I'll be right back. I'm switching over to my phone. All right, I'm back. I just had to switch to the phone.
was trying to figure out if Aquarium Cop took off.
I think he did, because he's gone all quiet.
He might just be lurking and keeping his eye on us. Like,
Yeah, he's lurking in chat. You know it.
probably trying to make sure we're not having too much fun without him.
I'm only quiet because I'm like getting breakfast and doing my kids' school lunches and stuff.
All right, hold on. I'm flipping screens around real quick, trying to make sure that everything is going good. I haven't figured out a way to do the Hangouts. Then I go to that's one screen. Then I have the YouTube screen going, and then I have the chat. I pop it out so I can, read everything. So I pretty much have 3 screens that I'm bouncing through. And once in a while, I'll go to the YouTube screen that's muted because of the 30-second delay.
Oh yeah, what I do is I just pause the live stream, and I just leave the comments coming in, and then just have the Hangouts on another page, so it's 2 pages.
Yeah, that's what I do too.
It gets confusing sometimes when you're like talking here and then you're watching that video and. So what type of angels are the fry that you have?
Well, right now I have, is that me? Oh, man.
Yeah, I hear you.
I know, because there's a hum in the background. Hold on. Oh, that might have been, I don't know if that might have been your hum. I thought that might, sometimes
Yeah, I'm
I'll hit
outside.
something.
I'm outside right now. I'll just mute it.
All right, that makes sense. Yeah, that happened the other day. Some guy had a bunch of wind noise, and we didn't see it, but it was just anyway. So for angelfish, I started with veil tails that my buddy gave me, and after I had them for like a month and a half, he was like, "Yeah, Dan, I think they're brother and sister, so I think they're like inbred angelfish. So you're probably not going to get the greatest angelfish out of them." And I'm like, "Dude, why am I raising like 200 not so good veil tail angels? When I didn't know anything." Anyway, so then I got some marbled angels, and I got some pearl scale angels, and I got some red shoulder angels. So
nice. Now, what you have them on separate tanks or in the same tank?
Well, when I have like 4 different angelfish tanks. Well, actually 5. So. Yeah, but I separate. My red shoulders are really picky, and so if there's any other fish in their tank, they like eat their fry. And so I have to when they start to lay eggs, I have to pull the other 2 angelfish out of their tank and stick them in another tank. So.
Yeah, I've heard some people. I don't know a lot about angels, but I've heard some people use I don't know if it's like a mop head or something that they put in their tank that the angels attach the eggs to, and then they just pull the eggs out. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was talking to a guy the other day, and he likes the mop because certain fish spawn on the mop, but what he really likes is the fact that the mop head allows the fry, like such an incredible place to hide out. And then he was talking about the biofilm that starts to grow on the mop. If it's cotton, I don't know what the deal is there. But he said the biofilm grows on the mop, and then the babies have a food source, and so it went.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, and I see a lot of other guys. They'll go down and they'll get rough tile, like floor tile from Home Depot, and they'll just put that in the tank. Angelfish lay eggs on that. They'll take that tile and they'll flip it 45 degrees upside down, and they'll put a bubbler to bubble the eggs to increase the hatch rate. Because that's the biggest thing I've heard about angelfish is if those eggs don't have a constant flow of water across them and a constant flow of air, that they don't I forget the word for it, but they don't mature right. The eggs turn opaque as opposed to actually producing wigglers. And so, I probably watched about 10 videos, but the biggest thing that everybody talked about was methylene blue, which I actually don't use, but they talked about that you had to flip the tile 45 degrees upside down and let the flow, and that the hatch rate goes up. I think that's the biggest thing that everybody talks about is all the little tips and tricks that people pull to get that hatch rate up. But everybody says if you leave your angelfish in your tank with the parents, the parents eat them all. I had that happen a couple times.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on the parents. Yeah, sometimes the peacocks are actually mouth brooders. So they'll lay the eggs, then they'll pick them up with their mouth. Well, after they lay them, the male will fertilize them, and then the female will pick them up with her mouth. And they have to hold them for like 18 days before they're free swimming. But sometimes the female will eat the eggs before then. So it's good to have a tumbler for them.
Yeah, I was at a fish store with a guy, just a while back, and he was walking around and he'd seen a pair of cichlids that they had, I think like Victorian cichlids or something. But he was like, "Look, that one's got eggs in the mouth right there." And I think he said it was the male that was carrying the eggs, though. And he said that there was only like a small percentage of the species of fish where the male picks up the eggs and carries them.
Yeah, that's true. And sometimes even in species that the females are supposed to carry them, the male will do it sometimes too.
Yeah, but he was saying it was one of the rare species where the male held the eggs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he said that you could, that this male in particular had like super awesome color for what it was. And he's like, I just want to strip the eggs. He's like, I don't even want the male fish. I just want the eggs. Well, that, and because the guy had like a $45 price on him. Yeah, and it was like a 4-inch or 5-inch fish. I was like, dang, that's a spendy little fish.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, yeah, it's because it's a such and such, such and such. And he's like, and even at $45, this is a heck of a good price because I still don't want them, So. But yeah, it's been amazing to me because somebody else was talking about how it's a lot easier to have like the African cichlids now because people are able to keep their water in check way easier. Where 5 years ago, there wasn't as many products on the market that could keep your tank in check. Like your pH always has to be like 8.0 or above.
For the Africans?
Yeah.
Like my tap water comes out at 7.8 and I just don't touch it. They like high pH and hard water, but they can adapt. There's people that have them in tanks at 7.0 and they do just fine. But it's because most of these fish are, they're bred in aquariums. They're not out in the wild. They haven't been out in the wild for many generations. So they just get used to whatever you have.
Yeah, I found that amazing.
They'll breed in low pH too.
Somebody was telling me that like 10% of the African cichlids are not even in the wild anymore. They're only found in aquarium tanks.
There's a lot that are found just in aquarium tanks just because there's a lot of like line breeding going on. So like, let's say they took a fish out of Lake Malawi that's a yellow sunshine peacock. They could breed that fish over many years to develop that yellow into like an orange or a red.
and that's a completely unique fish, and it comes from the lake, but it's not actually the fish in the lake. You get what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. That's what somebody was saying. Is that because there's been inbreeding, you have fish that don't exist in the wild, which I thought was
Yeah.
kind of crazy. But he was saying that actually 10% of um, the cichlids, like you can't because they got so overfished or so sought after.
Hmm.
And then I guess one of
Yeah,
the
they're just not
lakes,
available.
yeah, and then I guess one of the lakes over there, somebody said they closed it off to commercial collecting.
Hmm. Yeah.
So he said there's species that you just can't get out of the wild, like they're not there anymore, or regulations restrict you.
Yeah, a big problem in that too is that the natives over there actually eat this fish.
That yeah, that's what blew me away. I was talking to my friend about getting cherry red shrimp, and
Hmm.
he's Asian, so he understand, and he goes, yeah, he goes, we eat those things. Like they're salad shrimp to us, and I'm like, you got to be talking about the wrong kind of shrimp. And he's like, figured out like one of the popular shrimps over here. Yeah, and like he showed me this bowl, like this rice bowl, and there must be like 400 shrimp on top of the rice.
Oh my
And he,
God, tiny little cherry shrimps. Wow.
yeah, and he's like, these are the same species. He's like, over here you pay $9 for a shrimp. You know, he's like, in Japan you're paying like $13 for the bowl of rice and 400 of them. I'm like, that's crazy.
Damn.
I'm just like, man, we need to go. I was like, we need to go to China before they like put them on the bowl of rice and keep them live. I was like, we'll make $1 million.
What's
But
up,
yeah,
Big Easy?
oh, is he coming in the house now?
I think so. He just popped in the chat.
Oh man, the fish comedian. Let me bounce over to chat. See who's chilling. Man, we got a lot of cool lurkers. I was looking at White's comment. He says, my angels prefer my Anubis leaves rather than the slate I put in for them. Yeah, sometimes they end up going natural. My red shoulders, they've laid a couple times on an upside down ceramic pot that I put in there for them. And then once they laid on the leaves, I forget what that plan is in there. But yeah, anyway, they ended up laying them up on the leaf. And then the next spawn, they went right back to the clay pot. So I don't know what their trick is. Sasquatch says, I breed Victorians and the females hold the eggs in the mouth. Yeah, I think that's like 90%, but I think 10%, the males do the deal. It's kind of
Yeah,
weird. I'm
there's
still
some
learning all
fish
I
that
can
do
about
that.
fish.
Mm-hmm.
Biggie says, I try to put a smile on your face. Yamas is back. Hello, Biggies. Biggie says, I need to turn it down. Don't turn down your smiles, Biggies. I know he's going to say that's not what I meant. Let's see if I'm missing any other.
Oh, there you go. Sasquatch says most Victorian cichlids are extinct in the wild because of Nile perch. I've heard that too. And yeah, Lake Victoria is one of the smaller lakes, and there's definitely not a lot of species. And sometimes I follow some of like the major fish breeders on Facebook, and they'll have new species. Whenever a new species comes out, they try to get it and start breeding them in captivity, to hopefully make a big enough group to release them back in the lake. But with those Nile perch, they just get way too big.
I never thought about that, Nile perch coming in. But I do got to wonder if people are breeding. This is my biggest pick about breeding is I think that when people breed fish, they don't necessarily breed things like fish husbandry in, or the instincts. Because I've noticed, when I talk to people about angelfish, they always talk about the more inbred your angelfish is, or like the more albino, or the more veil tail, or the more Pinoy, the less they're good at taking care of their young, and the more susceptible they are to like viruses and bacteria and fin rot.
Hmm.
So when I was talking to a guy, and I think Corey from Aquarium Co-op, like he makes jokes all the time about albino fish, and how like the minute you get an albino fish, you better stay 4 feet away from that tank because it's going to get sick if you even get close.
Yeah, the albino fish are definitely more sensitive, I would say, than the regular fish. Same species.
So I remember our fishing game up here, like they'll go into the wild and they'll get the rainbow trout, and they'll take that rainbow trout and they'll put it in a hatchery and they'll raise it in a hatchery, and then they'll release those fish out into the wild. And they'll be tagged, or a fin will be clipped.
Yep.
And anyway, so you talk to the fishermen, and they'll be out fishing, and he says, yeah, you'll see like like after they stalk a lake, the eagles will be out at that lake for the next month, a month and a half, just chowing on all these
Oh,
hatchery
wow.
fish that have been released into the lake. And he says, you just watch eagles just flying off the lake all day long with trout that are like 8 to 10 inches long. That's the release size, right? And he says, and of course I know that there's trout in the lake from 2 inches to 2 feet. But he said what it is he said the minute they put him in the hatchery, they lost the predator, the shadows
Yeah.
overhead. And he says, I don't know why, but he said that the minute they put him in the hatchery, they put him in the concrete, they start feeding them processed food. He says you just end up getting stupid fish,
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely gonna be way harder for them to fit in, or like have their predatory instincts and all of that when they get put back in. They do that down here for snook in South Florida. A couple of years ago, we had a big die off. It got so cold that a lot of like the shallow waters that they like to live in froze over in like middle Florida. And there's a whole bunch of companies that started breeding these fish in captivity to release them back into the wild, and now their population is great again.
Is it like the same fish though?
Yeah, it is the same fish.
But I mean,
Because the thing is that they get, so like to start the project, they would just get like wild caught fish and then only raise one generation of it. So like the babies that would be born, I guess they would still have some of those instincts in them from the parents, or I don't know.
yeah, no, I think one of the most amazing things that I read about the serious angelfish breeders is they talk about having wild caught angelfish to breed back into whatever line of angelfish you're breeding.
Yeah.
And then you can go ahead and continue line breeding whatever angelfish breed you have. But they all talk about the minute you breed in these wild caught angelfish to your angelfish line, you will get most likely you'll get highly aggressive angelfish.
Yeah.
Because wild
That's true.
angelfish are highly aggressive. And the minute you mate them with anything that's already been bred in a tank, yeah. So I don't know, and it just makes me kick. I take this information in and I kick it around and I go, wow. So what kind of fish do I want to breed? Do
Yeah.
I?
Have you ever kept any wild caught fish?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, me neither, but I have heard and I've read a lot on them, and people definitely say, for one, it takes them very long to get used to your water parameters, to do any type of breeding, anything like that. And two, it's like they're way more aggressive than the regular ones.
Yeah, I saw a video about a guy and he was talking about breeding wild caught angels back into his angel line, and he starts out his video and he goes, I went to such and such an angel place and I read the great review about how my angels would be like twice as aggressive, and I bought their wild caught angels and I bred them into my line. And he says, immediately, it was like I had a whole new fish. I've been breeding this fish for 4 years. And
Nice.
he goes, I put the wild caught, and he says, and my hatch rates went up. My fin color got better. And he says the husbandry skills went up. He says I noticed less. He said the fungus was growing on the eggs, but the eggs hatched anyway.
Hmm.
And he said that just everything about, and he says, you know, the bottom line, he said it was probably the best thing that he'd done to his angel line. And he came back and thanked the company and was like, so I basically think your review is true. And he said probably the best thing I've done was breed the wild caught angel back into my angel line. And he says, anybody watching my video has questions, go ahead and ask. But he said, I think you want a strong breed, get some of them wild caught angels, and it's the way to go. So, but I take all this in because I want to breed quality fish that have disease resistance, husbandry, and all this other stuff. And I think what happens for breeders is they see a color that they like, and they start breeding that color, and then they end up with a fish that has poor disease resistance.
Yeah, that's a lot of things that most breeders don't put into account when they're breeding fish.
So I
think a lot of it comes. Oh, go ahead.
No, I think the other weird thing is I study a lot with guppy breeders, and they all talk about when they'll take like an F1 male and an F2 female, that cross will create a fish that's definitely show-worthy fish. But the minute you try to breed that show-worthy fish with anything else that you have, you don't have the same fish.
Yeah.
Because of the way the dominant genes and the recessive genes from F1 and F2 came together. So you create, like, we'll call it F3 or whatever. I think I'm saying the F part wrong. But he said on that super generation showfish where you'd be like, wow, if I breed this with any female, I'm going to have like a line of awesome showfish. He says doesn't work that way. So, but
yeah, a lot of the African cichlid breeders, what they do is they'll just get a really like the nicest male you could get of whatever species you want to breed, and then you want to get females that are just as nice, but it's hard to tell with the females, so you have to get them from a reputable supplier, right? But then you get the females and you breed them together, and then once their babies or their fry or whatever, once they grow up, then you pick the next best male from there and you breed him back with the mom.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you breed him back with the mom, and then the offspring are supposed to be even better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so another guy was talking to me about it, and he said basically you take mom and dad, mate them, then you take their offspring and you take the daughter and mate it to the dad, you take the son and mate it to the mom, and then that would be that cross would be what did he say? It was something. But he said then you'll have like an actual true representation. And he says, and if you breed those two fish together, yeah, you have a totally inbred fish. But if you bred them right, you won't necessarily have that inbred fish. You'll have, a breed that's a strong breed if you did it right. And his comment came back, and he goes, we all see like a 1,000 different breeds of dogs, and some breeds actually work, and some breeds are just mutts.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I think I just sit back and I see what everybody's doing, and I just try to learn as much as I can, so that, the next time I attempt to breed, for me, I just want to have the highest, quality fish in all aspects.
Yeah. Yeah, and that definitely takes a lot of work and a lot of time.
I think the biggest thing that I started with fancy guppies, and the biggest thing I noticed is they would get that tail droop because that fancy tail was too fancy. And so I decided, hey, I don't have show guppies. I do want a bigger tail, but I don't want a tail that the fish can't swim, or that, after it's alive for about a year and a half. And I seen a lot of, the super fancy guppies, you know, after a year and a half, they, instead of being able to swim straight, they swim like with the tail really drooped down. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but I just was like, I don't want fish that are too fancy to swim. And so I
Yeah.
actually started breeding the big fancy tail out, and I started breeding a paddle tail. And then I took some really, really fast. I went to aquarium co-op, and I was up there for like a half hour just trying to figure out like the 4 fastest guppies. And I was like, oh, it's the paddle tail. I'll get this female. I'll get this female. I'll get this male. I'll get this other female. But I think I seriously bought like the 4 fastest guppies in the fish store. And so I ended up with some really nice paddle tails. And I walked out of there with like 10 guppies, but 4 of them were for speed and 6 of them were for color.
Yeah, I've seen aquarium co-ops guppies where they as nice in person.
Yeah, dude, that's the thing that blows me away is like when he shows his stuff on camera, you're like, oh, yeah, that's some nice fish. But you go up to his store and you're just like, wow, your camera does not show anything.
Yeah, it's hard to capture the real beauty on camera.
Well, part of that's because he runs LED lights, and I don't think the cameras pick up the LED spectrum like our eyes do.
Yeah.
And I think it would be different if it was like sunlight or, yeah.
Yeah, direct sun, I think like fish in natural light exhibit the best colors. But having enough natural light to actually get a good picture of them, that's tough sometimes. That's why you see like a lot of breeders, especially with African cichlids, they'll take their fry that they want to sell. Let's say one of them has nice color. They'll put it in a little like a breeder box. Have you seen those marina breeder box, the plastic ones?
Yep.
And they'll put water in there, and then they'll just walk the fish outside and take a picture or a video of him in the sun, and that helps show the fish's true color. Now the color might not be the same inside your aquarium, like the red and the orange tints might be a little off, but that's what the fish actually looks like in the lake.
When I was up at Aquarium Co-op, I was like looking at they're called super red swordtails, and like the red color was just jumping out of the tank. Like seriously, like you look at these fish and you're just like, wow. And then you read on there they're super reds. And so I talked to Corey wasn't there that day. One of his store people was, and they were like, yeah, these it's the LED light. And I'm like, it can't make that much of a difference. And the guy, he hit the buttons and he goes, we actually have the LEDs for this tank. There's 2 different red wavelengths that react with that fish.
Nice.
And he flipped it. And then you just see like, I mean, it's still a super red swordtail. But the guy goes, listen, he goes, this thing is going to be half as red when you get it home. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. And I was like, it's still going to be pretty red though. It's a super red.
Yeah, that happens with all type of red fish. And a lot of breeders feed the supplement that's called astaxanthin or something like that, and it's pretty much they make flakes out of it, and it's supposed to enhance your red color. Most of like the flower horn foods and stuff, they have that, and they help the fish get redder. But the red LEDs definitely help. On my big tank, I have a Current USA light strip LED, and it has full spectrum too. And I definitely noticed it brings out, those reds a lot better in the fish.
Yeah, that's the thing that I look at with like any of the lighting is LED is a real specific wavelength. The fluorescence is more of a wide wavelength.
Yeah.
But some like people don't understand. Like I'm like, you can go get 12 different LED. I mean, not LED, but 12 different fluorescent bulbs. Like even Home Depot sells like 4 different colors of the compact fluorescent. I'm like, people are like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, bright white, soft white, daylight deluxe. You can pick your spectrum. People go, it can't be that different. And I'm like, if I went into your living room and put a daylight deluxe next to a white or a soft white, you'd be like, there's 4 different.
Oh,
5
it's
different
totally different. Yeah, in my room right now, like all three tanks have different lights. One of them's a Nano Cube 24, and that comes with like some super powerful like compact fluorescence, and it has two blue bulbs and two white bulbs. So that tank, just by looking at it, it looks like a bluish tint. Then the 20-gallon, it just has like a regular fluorescent light with like a daylight, so it looks kind of yellowish. And right underneath it, I have an LED light, and that tank looks white.
Yeah, it just amazes me with the different options of lighting. What you can do. I run. Well, Mike, I have kind of a display tank out in the living room, and so, um, well, I used to run a daylight. I mean, a full spectrum bulb, and that was at the front of the tank. And then at first what I did is I put a planted light in there. I put a plant light in there, and I was like, wow, all these fish look blue, and there's this odd blue light. And I went to the store, and the guy was like, oh, you need to get a full spectrum bulb and put it in the front of your tank. And he said that way the light from the front of your tank will shine onto the fish and reflect back to your eyes, and you'll see your fish in a more natural color.
True.
Put the big plants in the back of your tank under that blue light, and they will totally take off. And he says, and just use the full spectrum bulb to that light to highlight your fish.
Yeah.
And he said, if you put the blue bulb in the front, then the blue light's going to shine on the fish and reflect back to your eyes, and you'll have that nasty color you have now. And I was like, all right, well, sell me more junk, but I got home with the full spectrum bulb, and I flipped it on, and all my fish were like snapped out, and I was like, wow, this is what I want. Just another $42 down the drain.
Yeah, but good lighting is expensive. And you want your fish, to look as good as they actually do. And it's hard, like I said, it's hard to get them to look as good as they would in natural light.
Yeah. So the thing I've
And
been playing around with.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All right, so like one of the good if a good tip is like if you want to take like good videos or pictures of your fish, like on my 18-inch wide tank, I only have one strip of LED on there. And whenever I walk next to my fish tank, all the fish come up to the front glass. Now that LED usually stays like in the middle of the tank, towards a little bit towards the back. But when the fish are all the way in the front, like towards the top that they think I'm gonna feed them, their colors, like you can't really see them because that light is not hitting them. So what I'll actually do is I'll move that light forward if the fish are in the front of the tank, and then you could see them way better.
Yeah, I keep playing around with lighting. I think for me the most interesting thing I've played around with is using CChem Flourish, the micronutrient that's got like 35 different minerals and trace elements.
Yeah.
And I run that for my plants. I also run the Easy Green from Aquarium Co-op.
Yeah, that's the one I use.
But I noticed that by running both the CChem and the Easy Green on a little bit higher dosage than I'm probably supposed to, my fish's colors have snapped out. Like
Oh, really?
All my fish have brightened up.
Yeah, they're getting all these natural minerals, I guess, in the water.
Yeah, and my plants are taking off.
How much do you dose of the Easy Green? Like, do you dose it every water change, or how do you do that?
I'm on the once a week.
Uh-huh.
And so basically, like he talks about doing one pump per 10 gallons.
Yes.
And so on my 10-gallon tank, I'm running like a pump and a half.
Okay.
So basically what I do is I take a shot glass and I hit 3 pumps into it, right?
Uh-huh.
And then I basically pour it into another shot glass until those 2 shot glasses are level, because I haven't figured out how much the dose is.
Got you.
So then I take one shot glass and I pour it into the 10-gallon, and I'm like, well, this is like, if it was, if it's supposed to be 1 part per 1 gallon, I'm like, oh, I'm at like 1.5 parts per one
Yeah,
gallon.
yeah, yeah,
So then I do the same with, but that's how I know I'm above the nutrients that I'm supposed to have.
yeah. That
And
is
then,
true. That is true because I haven't like I've always just done. Now, do you do that? And how often are those water changes in those tanks? Are they once a week as well, or?
yeah, I water change typically like every 3 days.
Okay, so do you add it like right after a water change, or you wait a couple days after a water change? Does that make a difference that you've noticed?
No, for
'Cause
me, I right after I do the water change, like, and I'll pull like out of a 10-gallon, I'll pull 2 gallons out, and then I'll put 2 gallons back in, and I instantly dose.
okay, yeah, yeah. I always do it after the water changes too. But I was wondering, like since your water also has these minerals in it too that actually help your plants, like maybe it would be better. Like let's say you're water changing once a week, maybe you do that water change, you wait 3 days, then you add the minerals in, and then it'll be like by the time you add the minerals in, the plant's already sucked up all the other ones. I don't know if it would make any difference.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out, is because I think I'm under nutrients right now, because I think my plants have an ability to strip nutrients out of the water so quick.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, I don't really have like a planted tank per se. I just like to have plants in every tank that I can, and they do well. And I've just been using that easy green. And in one of the tanks that I had a lot of algae, I was using the Cam Flourish XL, and that one helps kill a lot of that like blackbeard algae that was growing. And I would dose that maybe like once a week as well. But the plants are growing good. I wouldn't say they're growing like crazy fast or anything, but they're definitely not dying or anything. So I think I might be able to up the dosage because I do what he says. I do one squirt per 10 gallons, and I do that once a week.
yeah, see, with me, I think I'm pulling out like 50%. Well, maybe between 30 and 50% of the water every week. Because I'll typically do like a 2-gallon water change twice a week.
Got you. Yeah, I do bigger water changes once a week with these fish. I've always done it that way, so I don't want to change anything. But I do like at least like 50 to 60% once a week on all the things.
Yeah, so that makes sense. See, like normally the way I do it is I'll hit like two of my 10-gallon tanks are right next to each other. And I used to have a little duct tape piece, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
basically I would pull the little duct tape piece off, and I would put it, onto the whatever the water, it was like an inch and a half piece of duct tape, but it marked 2 gallons. And so
Yeah, yeah, that's a
basically,
great way to do it.
so whatever the level of the water was at, I would just basically put that duct tape there, and then I would start draining the tank until it reached the lower part of the duct tape. And I was like, oh, uh, like on a 10-gallon tank, your average 10-gallon tank is like 12 inches tall, and I think mathematically, it's like 1.2 inches for a gallon.
Yeah,
And when people go, well, if you have gravel and some other stuff, maybe it's 1 inch. If you have 2 inches of gravel, you have 10 inches
true.
of water, then you suck off an inch, there's a gallon. Anyway, bottom line is I moved that duct tape around so I could see that I was pulling off a gallon, and then I had another duct tape that was like 2 gallons. But for me, typically, like I have a 5-gallon jug, and I'll just start filling the 5-gallon jug. I'll be like, oh, it's half full. There's 2.5 gallons. Time to pull out of the other tank, and and I'm like, oh, the 5-gallon jug is full. I empty it in my kitchen, I've got 3 5-gallon containers of water. So bottom line, I pull water out of my tap, and I like to age my water 24 hours.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's pretty safe.
Yeah, so the pH changes because of the pressure, the oxygenation, and a few other things. So
Yeah.
basically, I put in a dechlorinator that adds a mineralizer and a slime coat.
Yeah, you use that Stress Coat Plus?
Yeah,
Okay.
I use Stress Coat Plus, and then I'll flip to Tetra's got a product that dechlorinates and adds minerals, and then another one. But there's like 3 of them, and so I'm always buying. I don't just stay on the same one because I don't know. One of them's got this mineral, this one's got this mineral. Yeah.
Yeah, I've always just used the Prime one. I'm gonna start to use the Safe because one of the tanks is 120 gallons, and just that tank alone, I use 3 capfuls of Prime, and
Wow.
that's every week. I always like on that tank, since it gets like 50% water change and there's a lot of fish in there. It's supposed to be 1 capful for 50 gallons, so 3 capfuls supposed to be for 150 gallons. But I just do that anyways, just in case. You don't know, sometimes your water might have extra chlorine in it or whatever, and that could wipe out your whole tank. Which is why I think it's very safe the way that you're doing it.
Yeah, so basically I add, like for me, the stuff I use, it's 1 cap full for 5 gallons, or a half a cap full for a half a cap full for 5 gallons and a full cap for 10.
Yeah.
So I'll start pulling my water out of the tap, and I'll go ahead and add the 5 milliliters in there. And so that basically, as the 5-gallon fills, it's getting mixed. I'll pull it aside. I'll put a little air stone in there to keep it mixing. And then I put a heater in there on a timer. Like if I know I'm going to get home at 8 o'clock at night, I have a 100-watt heater that'll come on at like 5 o'clock.
Nice. Yeah, so it'll be ready.
Yeah, so when I get home, it's the 5 gallons has been heated up to 78 degrees. And then I have another heater that's set for 80 degrees for one of my Angelfish tanks. I keep a little hotter. But yeah, so the bottom line is I get home and I'll, like, if I pH test it, like typically my tap water comes out at like 7.3, and within 24 hours it drops to 7.0. I think that's because of the minerals I add. 7.1, 7.0, somewhere in there. But I lose a couple points. Anyway, after it's the 24 hours and it's the right temperature, then yeah, but I can basically go to a fish tank, pull out 5 gallons out of maybe 2 tanks or maybe 3 tanks, and then basically grab that 5-gallon jug, empty it. And the minute I empty a 5-gallon jug, I'm like back at my sink refilling it, and sometimes grabbing a second jug. But yeah, the bottom line is there's always 15 gallons of in my kitchen. My roommate's like, Dan, what are you doing with all this water? I'm like, I'm gonna need it tonight. And he's like, you said that last night. And I'm like, well, I just boom.
Are you gonna be on for much longer? I was thinking about sharing the link in one of my groups.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how much. Probably only about another 15 minutes.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes it worth the share.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, I take it you're up in Washington, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like my tap water comes out at 83 degrees, man.
Jeez.
Which for my fish, it's perfect because they're African, right? My tanks stay between 78 to 80, and then the fry tanks get like 82 degrees. So I don't gotta worry about that temperature change with the water change. And like I was saying before, I was using the Prime, and the main reason I switched to that over the Stress Coat Plus is because of how much cheaper it was for me. Like, because with the Prime you get 1 capful per 50 gallons, and I could get a 500 milliliter bottle for like $12 on Amazon. And that same bottle of Stress Coat Plus, it would be, pretty much that one bottle of Prime is like 3 or 4 bottles of any of the other brands.
Yeah, because it's the Prime is concentrated.
Yeah, and I'm about to switch to the Safe, which is like even more concentrated. It's a powder. You just got to be very precise, with your dosage, because let's say you're supposed to dose like an eighth of a teaspoon and you dose a whole tablespoon, that could do harm to your fish. But if you're good with your dosage, like I've heard people use the Safe, and one little like $10 container will last them 2 or 3 years with them running, 7 or 8 tanks.
Man, that makes a lot of sense. Real quick, I don't know if this will make sense, but on the Seachem Prime, I was talking to a guy because I run Seachem Prime. I actually got like a little jar of it in my hand, and I was reading stuff online, and I didn't use the rest of it, so I still got a full deal. Anyway, I'll get to the point. So we were talking about bacteria and establishing a new tank, right? And I told the guy I'm establishing a new tank, and he's like, "You're going to need Seachem Prime because it detoxifies ammonia, nitrate, and nitrite, and you're going to get an ammonia spike if you don't use the product." So anyway, I was using the product, and I was noticing that I was having some trouble with ammonia spikes, and I read some stuff online. Anyway, a guy, got on, and he's like, was really scientific and had, a pen and stuff, and he goes, I've had this tank. I've been trying to cycle it for 2.5 months, right? I'm overloaded on fish, and I keep adding Seachem Prime because I keep having ammonia spikes. Anyway, so I made a theory that, and I'd read it in chats in a little chat group somewhere, that the problem with Seachem Prime and trying to establish a new tank, you detoxify the ammonia, the nitrite, and the nitrate. And by detoxifying it, you make it 10 times as hard for the bacteria to assimilate the ammonia, the nitrite, and the nitrate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I actually every time I start a tank, I use the Seachem Prime and the Stability, and I use it for that exact same reason. Now, the best way to I guess you just got to look at your fish. If my fish look like they're having ammonia, I test my water, and if I have a little bit of ammonia, Prime actually detoxifies it, and in the back of the label you could read how much you could dose and stuff. So just a little bit of Prime will detoxify that ammonia. But I think that what you're saying is true, and if you're not adding another supplement to your water, it might take you longer. However, when I do add the Stability along with it, and I dose the Stability for a whole week, let's say by the end of like the second week, my tank is already fully cycled.
Yeah, so that's where I didn't understand why this guy's tank wasn't getting cycled for 2.5 months. And he was like, yeah, like every week I'm getting an ammonia spike. Like, am I in the middle of a mini cycle?
Yeah, another thing is like when you're starting to cycle a tank, you can't put a whole bunch of fish in there at the same time. You got to start out with 1 or 2 fish to help your colony, like grow your bacteria colony. Because if you have all these fish at once, it's just not going to happen. It's going to take them forever for that bacteria colony to grow. Even when you already have like 5 fish in a tank, if you're adding in another 5 fish, you might get a bacteria bloom because your bacteria just takes that much longer to grow to that stage. But like during that time that you do get an ammonia spike, that's what Prime is perfect for. You just add a little bit and your fish are back to normal. But you just got to make sure that you're adding it like every 2 days or something, you know what I mean? Because once the chemicals are out of the water, that ammonia becomes, harmful again.
No, and that's the key, is that somebody mentioned that Prime, as it eats up the ammonia, it actually runs out.
Yeah, it does.
And so then, I theorized, and I was talking to the guy, and I just said, what if by using Seachem Prime, like it takes 3 to 7 days to get a bacteria culture, right? And I said, so you start to get an ammonia spike, which means now the bacteria has a food source, right? And I said, they start growing in this awesome ammonia-rich environment. And you got an ammonia spike, so you go ahead and dose Seachem Prime. and you detoxify the ammonia and you make it impossible for the bacteria to assimilate, and then 90% of them die off because they're starving.
Yeah, yeah. Chem Prime, it's only a last resort option for me, you know.
Yeah,
So
and so
I never use it unless my fish tell me that I need to use it. You got to watch your fish, and if you see them coming up for air or them looking stressed out, then that might be the time to use Prime. And even before I use that, I just do a water change. So I'm gonna be adding Prime in anyways.
see that's what I was getting at is so uh, you got to take care of that ammonia spike somehow.
Yeah.
And so then I just told him, I said, I wonder what would happen if you quit using uh, Chem Prime and you dosed with bacteria, and then you got like a small spike. In that spike, you're going to get a growth of bacteria. Anyway, bottom line, so he was like, he quit using Chem Prime. He got a small ammonia spike, did a water change, and then hasn't had a problem since then. And he's like,
Nice.
and I talked to him like a month later, and he's like, I don't think I'll ever use Chem Prime because I think it gets in the way of establishing bacteria. And if you establish bacteria, you don't need to use Chem Prime anyway. So, and after I talked to him, I'm like, I guess I can't use Chem Prime anymore, darn it. People go, what's the option? I'm like, a fully cycled sponge filter.
Fully cycled sponge filter or cycling your tank correctly, you know? Cycling your tank with one fish in there. Two fish in there, just enough for the bacteria to get started, and then adding your fish in slowly. Even if you have a 200-gallon tank, you know, start it off with like 2 or 3 fish, and then you add 1 or 2 fish at a time. That's the way you can never go wrong. I've cycled a lot of tanks, and in the beginning it was tough because I would try to add so many fish in at once that the cycle would take months. And it's happened to me, and I know it happens. And even sometimes after you go to add new fish, you'll get like another cycle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's for me, this is like all mathematical and scientific and crazy fun to figure out.
It is. There's a science behind all of it. And there's a lot of opinions about things, but there is a science behind it.
That's, I think, what I really love. And, you know, and so people are like, oh, you're all scientific and science guy now. And I'm like, oh, I try to be, but I'm doing a horrible job. You know, but the flip side of that is people go, you know, why would one bother to dig so deep? And I go, I just want super healthy fish, and I want the environment in my tanks to be perfect.
Yeah, definitely.
I think for me, like, yeah, I think because I'm kind of a bacteria freak, that's what my friend, you know, who got me into this fish hobby, like, you know, was like, Dan, I think the only reason it really sets you ahead is because all you really care about is the bacteria. And I go, well,
yeah, I see that when you showed earlier all those extra like sponge filters on your intakes and all that stuff. Definitely.
And so that's one of the things that he goes, I gave him the bacteria a thought, but not as much as you did. And I go, for me, I'm kind of, well, being a bacteria freak, I myself, like, I don't know if you guys know about like probiotics in yogurt, do that stuff. But I, on a weekly basis, will drink something called kefir that has like 4 billion, what they call multiplying cultures. So, yeah, so it's like you know, for me, it's like a little 18-ounce, basically cultured milk. You know, milk that's kind of trying to turn into cheese.
Yeah.
But it's like drinkable yogurt. But the bottom line is it's got all these bacteria in it that are breaking down the milk. Like people... I don't know if you know about like acidophilus milk.
No.
Or people that are lactose intolerant, right?
Yeah.
So people go, what do you do with lactose intolerant people? I go, well, that's because we don't produce the acid. We don't produce the protein to break down lactic acid in the milk. So people go, what do you do? And I go, you get something called lactose bacteria that feeds on the lactic acid in the milk.
Oh,
and
wow.
because that bacteria, and it's common, you can buy all this stuff at Safeway, but you get basically they add a bacteria into the milk that eats up the lactic acid, and then you drink the milk, and since there's no lactic acid in the milk, then you don't have a lactic acid attack because everybody anyway.
And you have to mix that, or is that like something like you could drink once a week and then it makes the milk safe for you to drink for the rest of the week? How does that work?
No, you got to get it like every carton of milk.
Okay.
Basically, if there's acid, like in whatever, whenever cows produce milk or whatever, there's always lactic acid in it. And the problem is that everybody's born with an ability to process lactic acid.
Right.
But as people age, like a certain percentage of the population lose that ability to process lactic acid. And lactic acid is in all milk. So basically, they got this beneficial bacteria that breaks down the lactic acid.
Got you. Yeah.
And then another deal is something called acidobiphilus. But anyway, people go, why is all this stuff important? And I go, if I don't have the proper bacteria in my stomach, if I don't have the proper bacteria in my stomach, I can't process. Like the human gut has like 400 different bacteria. And why that's important is the food we eat, there's actually bacteria in our stomach that process certain foods we eat and produce like vitamin B12 and vitamin B6. And without those bacteria in our stomach, we wouldn't have access to the vitamins.
True.
They would be inaccessible to us. And so people go, oh, I never thought about that. And I go, that's how it works. Anyway, I'll make this a quick story. So when I look at my fish tanks, the first thing that I look at is I want to devote like 1/5 of my fish tank to bacteria habitat.
Nice.
So whether that be plants or substrate on the bottom or, a huge amount of foam, my power filters, but I kind of want to make sure that my bacteria has a home. Number one, my bacteria is fed. Number two, and a lot of these bacterias that are breaking down the ammonias and the nitrates and the nitrites are oxygen loving. So you actually have to have a higher amount of oxygen in your tank.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, you have to have flow so that these bacteria get their food source. So a lot of people talk about running sand or running gravel or running stone. I run stone in a few of my tanks just to make sure that there's no, what's that, hydrosulfuric acid or whatever will build up in people's tanks if they get in an anaerobic environment in the substrate.
Yeah.
So people go, oh, you've got the wrong bacteria. And I go, it's growing in an oxygen, in an environment without oxygen.
Without oxygen, yeah.
Yeah, because you don't have the proper flow and you don't have the proper amount of oxygen in your tank. And that's what allows that bacteria specifically to get established. So people go, how do you not get that? And I go, if you constantly have oxygen flowing, that bacteria isn't able to start growing to begin with. Really?
Yeah, I think
what?
Yeah, I think the next step for me is to get a good amount of nitrifying bacteria to start growing. That's the hardest one.
Yeah.
The one that converts like takes out the nitrates from your water without you having to do a water change, which is kind of like what plants do.
Yeah.
But for that type of bacteria, you need like a fluidized filter where you have all your media and it's always being pushed around and very high amounts of oxygen in there. And yeah, it just takes you need to have something that takes up a good amount of space from your tank to do that.
Yeah, that's a really good point about that's why people are in love with the fluidized beds in that K1 filter media.
Yeah. You watch King of DIY, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you've seen on his pond on the 2,000 gallon tank or 4,000, I forgot. Well, you've seen his fluidized filter. That really helps a lot. He's got like a huge sump, like probably like a 60-gallon sump with just K1 media in there and air stones, and it's always just moving around.
Yeah, so like you take a quick look at that guy's tank. This bacteria's got the oxygen it needs, and it's clearly got an over amount of circulation going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing I look at with my bacteria is that they need iron. They suck iron out of the water.
Hmm.
And so luckily for me, both Easy Green and Chem Flourish both provide iron back into the water.
Sweet.
So my plants are also taking iron out. But bottom line, I look at all this stuff and I just go, wow, as long as my bacteria is doing what it's supposed to, then everything else is going to work out fine. Just the same as if all the bacteria in my stomach is doing what it's supposed to, I'm going to be fine.
Sasquatch says, for new tanks, I like to use cycled sponge filters. I leave the tank empty, but feed it like there's fish in it. Once I see algae, I know I can add fish, just something that has always worked for me. Yeah, that's true. That's the best way for me to cycle a tank too. I'll just take a sponge filter from a different tank and put it in there. That's it's pretty much an instant cycle, and if it isn't an instant cycle and I want to put fish in immediately, what I'll do is I will add the Chem stability, which is supplemental bacteria, and just keep your eye on your fish. You know, make sure that they act normal. Test your water every couple days. Aquarium Cop's back, and so is Big Easy. You guys gonna join in here or what?
Man, I'm missing out on all the fun in chat. Holy molies.
I don't know if there's any fun going on in chat, really.
Cop says my tanks run on love. I think that's the big thing.
Yeah.
You know, one of the other things I do a lot with plants, and it gets really strange, you know, because I talk about bacteria. I don't know if you guys ever do compost piles.
Compost files? What's that?
Compost your own dirt.
Oh no, never done it.
So this is a little off the mark, but so to properly compost, like I built a couple compost piles and I actually boiled eggs in my compost pile because it was that hot in there in October. So bottom line, you start a compost pile with like a bunch of leaves and grass clippings and some branches. You just throw it in a pile. I went down to Walmart and I got this kitty litter that was pure alfalfa. You know, so it was 100% natural. Alfalfa has a whole bunch of nutrients, a whole bunch of proteins, and a whole bunch of other good stuff. And basically, I fed the bacteria in the pile alfalfa because we all know how good alfalfa is for everything. But anyway, so I got my pile cooking. You know, it was like, what, 50 degrees outside. My pile started to heat up to like 75 degrees in the middle, and I'm watering it every day. That's the moisture. The bacteria needs moisture. Anyway, my compost pile starts kicking up to like 95, 100 degrees, and I'm like, no way. And so my compost pile kicked it up to, yeah, I could not stick my bare hand in my compost pile and not burn it. The third time I did it, and I actually set it off right. But anyway.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
With my compost pile, I'd go out and we had like the little frost on the ground. I spun my compost pile and I watered it. You know, people are like, that's crazy. I'm like, no, my compost pile is cooking off my moisture so quick. People, and I go, have you guys ever heard of dry hay catching fire? You get hay wet. You allow bacteria to grow. That bacteria starts processing the hay, and it starts heating up the hay, and the hay will actually catch fire because the hay gets so hot.
Wow.
People go, that's impossible. And I go, that's the bacteria. But super quick about the compost pile. As the compost pile heats up, it's bacteria floating through the air, or that was already and certain bacteria won't activate until like 70 degrees. and certain
True.
bacteria won't activate until 100 degrees.
Yeah.
And so I did my composting, and I didn't give it, super amount of thought, but I went and I asked a compost guy, and he goes, you probably climbed through 3 to 5 different ranges of bacterias. But the bottom line, my compost pile heated up super hot, and all the different nutrients in there that all these different bacterias were feeding on and breaking all the plants down and all this other stuff down. But at 100 degrees, you compost and break down all your plants and all your all the branches that were in there. They were gone. Well, I had a few like sticks, but they were still pretty soft because they've been cooked up and eaten up and all this other stuff. But yeah, basically, I'm just feeding the bacteria in my compost pile, and I'm turning grass and leaves and branches into soil in about 4 months. But the most ridiculous thing about this is I was constantly watering my compost pile to make sure there was enough moisture in there for my bacteria to stay alive, because they were constantly cooking their moisture off. And,
Yeah.
And
you
so,
would just use that as soil then after to put new
yeah.
plants in?
Yeah, so I turn around with my own homemade compost, and I use it in my garden.
Nice.
And then people are like, why are your plants so out of control? Like, and I'm like, because I got the proper bacteria.
Yep. I know a lot of people use their tank water too, from water changes to water their garden.
I'm currently using tank water on my flowers and on my neighbor's flowers, and my flowers are kind of dying because it's getting cold in Washington.
Yeah.
But incredible color.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't know. I myself, I look at bacteria as the start of everything. And I'm like, as humans, if we don't have the proper bacteria in our gut, we're kind of screwed. If we don't have the proper bacteria in our tank, we're kind of screwed. And if I don't have the proper bacteria, even on the plants that I grow, there's something called mycorrhizal bacteria that grows on the roots. And there's nitrogen fixing bacteria that grows on the roots of all the bean plants. I don't know if you guys know that. But all the bean plants, known as legumes, they actually grow nodules on their roots for a bacteria that's called the nitrogen fixing bacteria. And what it does is it eats up ammonia, and it turns it into nitrogen.
Wow. Nice. So you learn something new every day.
I just lost my thought. But since nitrogen and ammonia are kind of like a similar, they only, I guess, if I explain it right, I might explain it wrong, but nitrogen and ammonia are just a couple atoms apart. And once those atoms get stripped from ammonia, which is well, I shouldn't say unusable, because some plants use a little bit of ammonia. But bottom line is, this nitrogen fixing bacteria fixes nitrogen in a way that plants can absorb it. And since these bacteria are living on the root, they're basically farting nitrogen, which we all know plants, that's like the number one nutrient for plants.
Mm-hmm.
They're able to absorb that nitrogen right up onto the root. And so the other flip side of that, there's other bacteria that are growing on the root that, as different nutrients are pulled in, the bacteria kind of pre-processes it, and then it makes it easier for the plant to uptake it.
Sweet.
But yeah, there's a whole bunch of just different weird stuff, and I'm continually like learning. I don't want to say I spend 10% of my time learning about bacteria, but I definitely spend like a good 1% or at least a 0.5% of my time trying to understand bacteria, because I do so much with it. And my friends are like, "You're crazy with bacteria, Dan." And I'm like, I just have an understanding that the more I understand about bacteria, yeah, the more I try to use it to my advantage.
Yeah, yeah, I'm a chef as my full-time job, and yeah, we got to stay away from the bacteria, but definitely in culinary school we learned that, you know, the bacteria has certain temperatures where it likes to live and where it thrives, and just to keep the food bacteria free. And it's really interesting that, like, let's say, like, I was born in Cuba, so my immune system is a little different from people here.
Yeah.
And that's because I have different types of bacteria, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Like, my immune system is a lot stronger than, say, like someone born here, because of the conditions that we had over there.
Yeah.
The water that we drank had bacteria in it that it doesn't have here. That's why some people, like, sometimes people go to Mexico or other countries and they can't drink their regular water. They have to get bottled water because they'll get sick from it.
Yeah. That stuff amazes me. You know, and sometimes it comes down to the fact that that bacteria, that, like, we'll say the people in Mexico, their their bodies actually have a bacteria in their stomach that eats that bacteria in the water.
Yep. Yep, that's what it is.
And so I don't have that bacteria in my stomach. And I haven't been exposed to that bacteria to be in my stomach. So one of the craziest things that I learned, you know, when I was studying this bacteria thing, they were talking about how, you know, because dogs are pretty common, you know, man's best friend.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and people were like, I always notice my dog is trying to eat other dogs' crap. And I
Yeah.
always tell people, I go, no, your dog is just trying to get a proper bacteria in their system. And it's well known that puppies will eat their parents' crap to get that bacteria, and it's an actual instinctual thing. I was talking to a vet about it, and I go, "That's crazy that like dogs are going around eating dookie." And he goes, "Well, one, dogs' stomachs can handle just about anything. But he goes, number two, it's how they get themselves exposed to different bacteria that they might not have." So people go, "Does that happen in humans?" And I go, "Well, we can all talk about, you know, somebody, a kid brought up natural stuff, and a kid brought up on powder. And, you know, there's a thousand
Yeah.
scientific studies that will say a kid brought up on regular has a stronger immune system, is
True.
more not so allergic to things,
Mm-hmm.
and that kids brought up on powder basically are, you know, what, 7 times more likely to have allergic reactions later on in life.
Wow. Yeah, that's a crazy difference.
7 times. I was like, that's, you know, and there's all these scientific studies that support it, and they're just like, no, like you're just you get exposed to your mom's uh, different bacteria and different stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
then your body being exposed to all this different stuff. Uh, yeah, like
It's like when, like, if you're raising your kid and you never let them go outside and play or get their hands dirty, you know, they're never gonna be exposed to this bacteria, and it might hurt them later on in life, you know.
Yep.
I'll tell you what. One of my, this is going to sound kind of weird, but one of my fishing buddies about this kind of this whole bacteria thing for me started like 8 years ago, because he has a kid that's 23, but, you know, crawls around the floor and wears a diaper still. Does that make sense? That's the only way to explain it. I mean, just yeah. Um, well, I guess it's his adopted kid, because it's the gal that he married had, you know, a kid that, yeah. Anyway, the kid crawls around the floor and constantly licks his fingers and like everything, right? But the kid has seriously not been sick for like a decade, right? And they'll take the, you know, like the whole family got sick pretty much. Like the house got bombed. You know, that's what he said. He goes, dude, everybody at the house is sick. But Jonathan doesn't care, you know, like we're sneezing all over, coughing all over. He's, you know, licking his fingers on every moment he gets. But he's like, he's like, of all the people, like you would think this would be the first guy to get sick, you know. So he ends up going to the doctor to figure out what but they got the whatever it was, the super flu that was going around, like the really serious one.
Yeah.
And the doctor was like, yeah. And And he goes, I don't understand why he didn't get it. And he goes, because he's been exposed to it 100 times.
Yeah.
And the doctor basically goes, you don't understand. Like, his immune system is like King Kong. Like, he's already exposed himself to every bacteria in the county. And
Mm-hmm.
his body has had a chance to develop an immunity to it, which is why you really can't get him sick anymore. And even though like everything on your carpet is nasty, disgusting, and he's already been exposed to everything the cat has and everything the dog has and everything the kids bring in.
Yeah, they were. I remember reading about an article or watching a video a while ago about how some people in Africa they're immune to freaking like malaria and HIV and stuff, and they were trying to do studies on them to see what in their body, like maybe it's some type of bacteria that they have, and maybe if they could culture it and make medicine, you know.
That's the thing that, you know, like we look at real simple, like we look at like mountain lions. Oh, they eat deer, you know, and we're like, but you know, mountain lions eat all kinds of other stuff too, you know, mice, and if needed, they'll change their diet around a little bit.
Yeah.
And people go, well, why is that important? And I go, because bacteria are the same, you know, and if you obviously can't have like mountain lions if you don't have deer.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so people go, oh, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And I go, well, you're not gonna form in your system, we'll call them predator bacteria, unless you have a reason. But once you form that predator bacteria, you know, we all know mountain lions can live on mice and other odd stuff. That's probably, you know, it's, if I were to say deer is a huge contagious disease, you know what I mean? And now you have mountain lions taking them down. Once you get that mountain lion established, like he might have to feed on a whole bunch of other stuff until the deer come back. But the minute the deer come back, he's like, ding, you're never going to have, that deer population get started. So people go, oh, and I go, you know, we don't get sick because we got one or two bacteria in our system. We get sick because we got 3 million of them.
Yeah.
And people, then they look at it and I go, the bacteria isn't making your nose run. It's your body's response to the bacteria. Your body thinks that by having your nose run that that's how we get rid of this cold, or by having a fever, we get rid of this.
Yeah.
You know, and I got a cold right now because I went and hung out with my friend's kid, and I was like, look, I don't know if my immune system is strong. Like, let me come hang out with your sick kid and I'll see. And they were like, you're crazy. And I'm like, no, if I get it, it means my immune system's weak and probably needs a workout. So instead of getting hit by like this 2-week whatever, you know, like most people get, I'm like, I'll get a little bit of a bug for like 2 or 3 days and then I get over it.
Yeah, that's what just happened to me too. My mom was sick, my girlfriend was sick, her whole family was sick, and I've been between here and there, and sometimes I notice it, like I'll go to sleep and like my nose is a little stuffy and this and that, but you know, we have vitamin C and emergency and all these things to help fight it as well. And I haven't really gotten sick, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I have like, you know, a few of my friends are just like, dude, I've been sick for a week. Like, I'm not going to work today. Screw it. And I'm like, yeah, you know,
And that's happened to me too, though. That's
Yeah.
happened to me too. But it just depends, I guess, on the sickness that it is. If your body's fought off like the type of virus that my girlfriend has right now, then it's probably not going to get me. But if it's something new, then yeah. I remember there was this one bacteria that was going around here maybe like 2 years ago in the winter time, and that got me for like a week and a half. It's not like nothing life threatening, but like that, I felt like I hadn't been sick like that in so long.
Yeah. That's what I told my friend. I go, dude, if I'm not constantly working out my immune system and all of a sudden my immune system has to fight something, I'm going to get knocked out for a week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather just. But yeah, so once I met my friend's kid and I was like, wow, like maybe I'm going to stop using that antibacterial soap and maybe I'm going to kind of change the way that I do things. And, you know, people look at me and they're just like, Dan, you never get sick. And I go, because I don't wash my hands all the time.
Teresa says koalas carry chlamydia. Wow.
Yep. They do.
Jeez. I
You know,
never
my
knew
first-
that. I always saw them as a cute little cuddly bear.
I'm just like, damn, I'm not gonna bang a koala if I go to Australia now.
Well, like I have a friend who used to work, like, you know, the crocodile hunter, Steve Irwin.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the zoo that they have, my friend used to work there, and he told me, and I was like, "Oh, that nasty." He's like, "That's why when we handle them, we try like have to wash our hands with special soap and like wear gloves, and we try to
Yeah.
tell the tourists not to like pick them up, and they have to like vaccinate them and do like all sorts of stuff because that's what's killing a lot of the koalas, like because it's so easily transmittable that yeah."
Dang. And I'm sure the koalas themselves are probably immune to it, huh?
Somewhat from what I was
Yeah,
told.
like they probably don't get as bad of effects that we would anyways.
Yeah, they're just carriers, so and it can be transmitted to people, is what my friend said. So I was like, oh. Anyway, guys, I have to love you and leave you and get to class because I'm already late. Whoops.
All right, Teresa, have a good day.
See you guys.
Fun chit chatting with you. Great accent.
Yeah.
So I have to catch you guys in either Tim's stream or Dan's stream or something like that.
All right. I think who else is streaming tonight?
I don't know. Tim keeps saying that he's going to stream, but then he like ends up going to bed. So, but he's super busy right now.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, bye.
Bye.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on in chat right now. Holy moly.
Yeah, aquarium cop showing the love, Jorn.
Dude, he is so fun. I'm so glad you're lurking, Aquarium.
Yeah, he actually did a live stream, I think, last Monday, and that's when I was subscribed to his channel, but then I first met him there because he had like all these disco lights going and his fish, and it was a hangout, and I was able to join, and we had a good time there. I guess this is a regular thing for most Mondays.
Yeah, we end up getting together because Mondays are, not the happiest day of the week, and we come here and then we just get happy.
Yeah.
But I think it's fun because for me, like I don't want to go on and on about bacteria, but I put some of the ideas out there, and then people think about them for a week or two, and they come back with more information, or like, have you tried this? Did you know about that? And I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, I'm in a Google Plus group that's like the mixed African cichlids, and we're trying to get them to be like more active with the whole YouTube community and the fish fam. And I think this is a great way with the hangouts. We really get to meet each other a lot better than, just through comments or watching each other's videos.
Yeah, I kind of wonder about how to get the proper like bacteria from like Lake Malawi to break down stuff,
Huh.
But this is what one of the guys said. He goes, a lot of the bacteria that you're talking about, or one of the smarter guys, he says, you got to understand, like, the mom and dad were, living in Lake Malawi, right? So they got pulled out of that lake. He said they have obviously had that bacteria probably living on their inner gill or in their, somewhere on them or in their stomach, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if they picked up a parasite, the same is true, right? They're going to bring that parasite out of nature and put it in your fish tank, and then that fish takes a dookie, and now that stuff is on the bottom of your tank. If it's a parasite, it's going to spread through your tank and mess up your fish. But if it's like, let's say, a beneficial bacteria, that's going to spread through your tank and do its benefit. And he said, then your fish are going to breed in that water and have new fish that are going to pick up that beneficial bacteria. And when you sell the fish to somebody, if you got beneficial bacteria, there goes the beneficial bacteria. Great. If you got a parasite living in that fish, same thing. And I thought, wow, what a great concept. But I kind of wonder if all of this, methylene blue and all this other stuff that people are using when they breed their fish, if they're not stripping away some of that beneficial bacteria.
Yeah, that's something to talk about for sure.
So that's where I look at some of these Lake Malawi cichlids that might have a special bacteria that they need, that maybe is, and maybe it's not a big deal because we've got, 1,000 other, people go, I'm like, hey, maybe it's not so bad to get rid of the cougar if you got a wolf. There's a totally, and people are like, one's a cat and one's a dog. And I go, they're totally different species, but both eat deer. And I think that's the same with the bacteria, is that, there are, different bacterias, and every continent basically has a species of dog. But the Australian dingo is nothing like the wolf,
Yeah.
But no, that's what I look at. I don't know. I just look at the bacterias, and I just think, for me in life, when I focused on anything I'm doing, whether it be plants or my own physical health, my fish tank's health, anytime I look into the bacteria, the beneficial bacteria, and I try to raise the amount of beneficial bacteria, I've always noticed a health benefit. Like for me, I just don't get sick as much. And I think maybe that's because I'm constantly exposing myself to bacteria, that I've got the wolf that's constantly eating it down. And when, one bacteria is not present, then he's living off something else.
Yeah, I think it's the same for fish. Like, let's say you have your fish here with your water, your tap water. If the fish goes somewhere else and you have different tap water, it's going to have different bacteria in it. And it might cause your fish to act weird or to get sick or something. And you might be trying to think of, oh, is it ick? Is it this? Is it that? And it might just be the bacteria in your water.
Yeah. No, to me, I probably can't understand enough about bacteria, because there's probably, there's too much to learn. I think the smartest guy that I met, in my little bacteria stuff, he worked for UW, and he was like a microbiologist. But the bottom line he told me is, he says, hey, he said, if I started writing books, he said, I could write you, a simple 100-page book about animals, right? And everything would be in one book. If I started to talk about plants, it would take 2 books. If I started to talk about algae and fungus, it would take like 5 books. And if I started to talk about bacteria, it would take 100 books. And I go, you're kidding. And he goes, no. He goes, there's just that many different kinds of bacteria out there. And he goes, he says, the plants and animals, he said, yeah. He says, when you start talking about bacteria, he said, you just exploded into, because he says just thousands upon thousands upon thousands of different bacterias. And he says whole colonies will get built where one bacteria is living on top of another bacteria, is living on top of another bacteria, and it's a whole little cycle. And I thought, that's crazy. It's nothing different than the African savanna. But he said the African savanna has tigers, lions, some wildebeest. He said there's pretty much only 20 major species going on. And then he's the guy that looked at me and he goes, and in your stomach right now, you got 400 different types of bacteria. Wow. So the African savanna doesn't have 400 kinds of animals, and it's the whole African savanna, man. It's,
Yeah.
And he says, now you understand why it's going to take me 100 books to write about bacteria?
Yeah,
and I was
just think about it. From one animal's poop, how many different bacteria are in there?
Yeah.
And it all depends on where they live. It could be the same animal that lives somewhere else, and completely different bacteria.
Yeah, and I thought, wow. And that was probably one of the biggest mind-opening conversations I had, because I was just like, wow, there really is. And he said the African savanna is in your stomach, but it's just times 100. And he goes, everything has a place. The elephant, the giraffe, the dung beetle.
The dung beetle. Yeah.
And I was like, no way. And he goes, you just keep looking into bacteria and learning as much as you can about how it'll benefit you. So, but yeah, now that I'm in the fish world, I'm like, I personally can't get enough bacteria in my tank, because yeah, the more bacteria I get in my tank, the less ammonia, the less nitrate, and the less nitrite.
Yeah, the more the better. But that being said, though, I think that the bacteria will only grow as well to what, to what it can be fed. Like if you have too much, and you take, like, let's say, like you have 20 fish in a tank and you have the bacteria to hold 20 fish, but then you were to take, I don't know, like 15 of them out, so you're left with 5 fish. I think like a lot of that bacteria will die because it won't have the supplements that it needs.
So that is a very good point.
I think that the bacteria only grows like up to what it needs to grow to, Like it might go a little over, but I think like having like too much, I don't know.
Well, your bacteria can die off and cause an ammonia spike.
Yeah.
And people are like, "Whoa, wow." So that's, back to the fluid moving bed, right? And the reason the fluid moving bed is so awesome is because everybody's done all these like super scientific tests on, the college level with the, the $10,000 instruments.
Yeah.
And so what they realize is when they're starting to colonize and test and play with all these different bacteria for their writing their theses and all whatever, so they came in and they did some little deal that I was reading, and they basically talked about the new bacteria eating 5 times as much nitrate as old bacteria.
Wow.
And that's why the fluidized bed, when it's constantly sloughing off that old bacteria, it's constantly allowing a place for the new bacteria. And that sloughed off dead bacteria isn't a problem because it's being consumed by an algae or a fungus. And since you're never sloughing off enough bacteria to get a algae or a fungus bloom, you're just barely able to keep this fungus alive with the the constant sloughing off of the dead bacteria. But anyway, so you constantly have all these little cleaning crews cleaning up the mess. But the biggest thing that they talked about on that fluidized bed is that the bacteria in the first month eats 5 times as much nitrate because it's trying to grow. And that once it becomes older, it slows down. It doesn't have as much of a need for such a high amount of nitrogen. And so it's because it's an older bacteria, like it doesn't necessarily need to be eating like 10 parts a day. Right. So let's say you're at the what they call the high fish load. All of a sudden you drop that fish load down to 1/10. Well, what that bacteria does is it starts to starve, but it doesn't necessarily die. Right?
Got you.
What it stops doing though is it stops reproducing. Kind of like humans. If we're starving, we're not breeding.
True. Yeah, that makes sense.
We're not, and so that's where this new bacteria that's active, trying to breed, trying to grow, that's where it has an ability. Anyway, the guy rated it 1 square inch of new bacteria can eat up 5 times the ammonia of 1 square inch of old bacteria. And then that's where the fluidized bed came out.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
All right. Well, happy fish guy. It was awesome being here on the stream, and I definitely learned a lot of new things, man. But I think I gotta get going.
I'm gonna have to probably get rolling too. Let me go see who all is hanging out in the chat and being quiet. Hey, thank you so much for swinging by, and hopefully you can get some of your cichlid people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely have some awesome knowledge.
Yeah, you know, I always do my research, and you as well, for only being, how long did you say, 11 months in the hobby? Wow, you know a lot.
I just keep learning from all the awesome fish people.
Yeah. Yeah,
Helps put
like YouTube is my main source of entertainment right now. Like, screw TV. I stopped paying for cable a while ago. YouTube and Netflix. So I'm always looking for like new people to subscribe to and new things to watch, and you know, every couple videos I'll learn something new. Uh, People have different way to explain things, and I think the more you learn, you know, the more knowledge is better, man.
that's the key. Meeting people, learning new stuff, and then for me, having a smile like 90% of the time.
Yeah,
I don't think I have a
definitely.
smile today because I got a runny nose, but
All right, man. Well, until next time, nice talking to you. Later.
hey, thank you again. You have a great night. All right, you guys, I'm going to try to breeze through chat. We've been talking about a lot of crazy, interesting, way interesting stuff. That's funny, you guys. I was like looking for my easy green, and I just realized like it's up on my shelf up there. I was like, dude, I thought it was on the carpet. I was like, man, I can't find it. Now it makes me want to dose my tanks. Anyway, I'm going to have to go through and highlight the awesome stuff. Teresa had some really great points about cycling tanks. Aquarium Cop says, my tank's run on love. Once life in tank, algae, etc. Tank is ready. That's a good point. Nitrites are usually a pretty good sign that your tank is cycled. I used to do trees and used to hear about wood chips catching fire all the time. Yeah, wood chips, same way. You get them wet and then the bacteria, and it's, dude, it's crazy. I'm like, bacteria cannot like start processing wood and get, hot enough to catch fire, but it happens. Teresa cookies. I am reading stuff I shouldn't read out loud, so I'm not reading it out loud, I guess. LOL, Dan. Too cute. The dancer and the ghost. I can't figure that one out. I eat, hate, and turn it into hugs. That was good. Spread the love from Cookie. Aquarium Cop, known for loving, tight, warm hugs. Good, good. The koala. That is good. Teresa Cookie says koalas are gross. They smell really bad and carry bad things. Dan, you're my dingo. Australian dingoes there are some serious kick-ass dogs. If my buddy up here had a dingo, well, he had a half dingo, half German Shepherd, but that dog was freaking nuts, and seriously twice as fast and twice as on the ball as any other German Shepherd I'd ever been around. But it's because it had that wild, and he was pretty growly too. I don't have dogs that acted or reacted to me like that, but like he said, Dan, he's a wild guy, so got to be caution. I see we got Island Queen in here. Anyway, you guys, I'm looking at the time and I'm realizing I should probably get rolling on my day and try to cause some trouble and ruckus. So I should probably end the stream. Trying to see what else I'm missing. Bouncing around my crazy screens. Anyway, if you're just joining the stream, I'm Dan. I'm the Happy Fish Guy, trying to spread some Monday love and talk about all kinds of insane stuff other than fish to bring a smile to people's faces. I think that's what life is really about, is trying to, well, at least for me, bring a bit of love and compassion into the crazy world in which I live. Yeah. Some people look at it as darkness. Um, I don't really know how to describe it. I guess I'm maybe getting too tired, but I guess for me, I like to bring a smile into people's lives and brighten them up. And I know that some people don't live a bright life and don't always have a smile, and they like to be moody. And I'm like, all right, go away. I'll find some people that like to smile, and I'll make them my friends. So I think people on Fish Fam are exceptions to the rule, because they all come to my streams having a whole bunch of fish and a whole bunch of things in life that they love. And I think when people really focus on their fish, they really focus on the love they have for their fish, and then they have a lot of love. And then they get in my live stream and they share that love. And I think that love is what makes my life. I know that's what Aquarium Cop is saying now, that he's seen where my easy green was, because I couldn't find it earlier. Just, over my head, and I'm got a cold, so my brain is like, what? Huh? All right, reading some more stuff in chat real quick. Looks like Island Queen bounced in and bounced out. Holy moly. Well, definitely good you're here, or got to be here for a little bit. I think your logo is really cool. Anyway, Aquarium Cop says love above. Oh, that's right. I already read that. All right, you guys, I think I'm getting tired. I'm probably going to have to end the stream before I just start talking nonsense. Let me bounce around another screen. Go into my Hangouts. All right, wrong screen. All right, Cop, you have anything more awesome to say? I think I'm going to end the stream. I don't know if Island is still hanging, but we had Cookie in the house. We had Sasquatch in the house. We had South Florida Cichlids and more. Super cool guy. Let me see who else I got a sub before I get out of here. Let's see. All right, one more quick bounce around. Well, I think only 2 people I was not subscribed to in my chat today. So definitely cool. Yep, I just flew through chat. So, all right, you guys, I don't know who is out there listening now, but I'm going to end the stream in like 5 seconds so I can get rolling on with the rest of my day. I think there's 2 people watching now, so it might just be me and Aquarium Cop. So, all right, Aquarium Cop, you try to have a blessed day. I really want to say thank you for the Hangouts message earlier. That was really nice. Like, I looked at my phone and I seen a little note that says, how you feeling? It's just cool. It just really makes me happy that you're a part of my life. And yeah, you and Carlos. Something about you two. You guys just bring me really big smiles. So, not that White and a few other people, but no, it's like you guys are just an active part of my life, and it makes it good. Yeah, Sasquatch Aquatics, I just subbed you like a minute ago, so I'm going to have to go check out your channel and learn something. But yeah, I think the rest of you guys are lurking, so I think I'm going to probably, shut this thing down and go to sleep. super happy hand claps and the rainbow hearts. That's awesome. Awesome, awesome. Well, definitely good that you got to hang out to the end of the stream, Sasquatch, and definitely awesome, awesome that you're here. I just want to call you Mr. Aquarium. I think it's easier. Anyway, hopefully, I'll probably stick around like another 20 seconds. That'll give you, Sasquatch, time to sub anybody in the chat. And that'll give Aquarium Cop, I think, time to sub you. And I think Aquarium Cop probably already subbed Florida. All right. Well, did you guys get your sub up or your loving up? I don't know. All right, you guys, I better bail out of this and get to sleep. So I'm going to just end my chat. Bounce some screens around. All right, I got to get to the right page to end this. And I'm like, man. All right, I'm where I need to be. All right, let me see if anybody typed any awesomeness in chat. Sasquatch says, thanks, man. I appreciate the sub. Sasquatch says, everybody calls me Weird Beard or Beardsy in real life. That's got to be funny. I'll have to check out one of your pictures. I swept up everybody while I'm in chat. Way to go, Sasquatch. Smart, smart. I think I only try to have cool people in my chat. All right, you guys. I'm ending the stream. So super, super lots of love. Thank you all to helping me start off my Monday proper. So I'm probably going to have to go to sleep now so I can wake up tonight and go to work. Hopefully I feel a little better. Hopefully my cold seems to be burning off. All right, you guys, super love, and hopefully catch you in my streams soon. Much love. I'm out of here. Bye.